Yep, that's it. Miller
Do you know you can clean your own car?
and Moulton.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The things we're going to learn.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-Law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it. It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live. How the heck are you on the worst St. Patrick's Day ever? Ever. Got to get that out of the way. Got to get that off my chest. Ah, man. Miller and Moulton. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch TV, you name it. What's going on?
Not sure. You tell me.
Why?
You're a little angry over there, making me a little nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a big celebratory day. It's a fun day. You know, you eat, you drink. It's communal. It's tough to do all that when you're staying 6 feet from everyone. It really is. It is.
About 2 feet to your right.
Well, I understand that. You and I actually could do it. All right, but...
I'm changing the set tomorrow so that we're further apart.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want, I could stay home.
No, I like seeing you. I just want to keep you at 6 feet.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, how long's this table?
6 feet.
I was going to say it's about 5, isn't it?
No, it's 6.
Okay, so we're going back to how we
may have
had
to.
it?
We may have to.
So do you want me, I mean...
Well, I just got to make sure you stay in the shot.
Well, I know.
That's the only... Well, there might be some changes tomorrow. We might be in the corner.
Can't make the shot any wider, can we?
I mean,
why are you going to move things around?
Because I have nothing else to do. I don't know about you, but I grew up in a household that when my mother and father would get in a fight occasionally, and not, but the argument or whatever, and mom would clean the house, and all of a sudden you'd come home and the furniture would be completely rearranged. You know why? She was bored,
right.
She was angry, and she needed something to do.
I get it.
So I don't know if it'll be this week or next, David. I've got outdoor furniture to clean today.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Whatever the honey-do list is,
I don't even need. I'm
they
making
should
my
all
own
get
up.
done.
Right, I'm making my own up right now.
They should all get done. Garages will never look as good as they're going to look in the spring and summer of 2020.
So yesterday, I was going to make a little bite to eat for the wife and I. We had some mushrooms that I needed to get rid of, so I was going to make some cream of mushroom soup. David, I needed an onion. Looked up, never made it before. Recipe called for an onion.
All right.
I happen to only have one. I don't like to be out onions in the house because you use onions for damn near everything when you cook.
I mean, who does want to be out of onions?
Nobody
and toilet paper.
Nobody that cooks. Toilet paper, I'm fine with. The onions really pissed me off. So I go to Publix yesterday.
Right.
You can't get an onion.
Apparently, you can't get anything.
You cannot.
Is there anything left?
I happened to be at 4 different stores yesterday.
Can't get an onion?
I went to Jimmy P's because, let's be honest, I've got to get a...
Yeah.
I mean, I need
the
corned beef.
I know.
It's St. Patrick's Day, and you need corned beef.
You need your fix.
If you're going to get corned beef, get it from Jimmy's.
Right.
So I get that. Get the ground lamb because we're going to make shepherd's pie today. The wife wants shepherd's pie, David.
Okay.
And so then I needed the onion. I go to Publix. It looks as if the store was never open. You know what it looks like? It looks like if you ever go, David, you had to make those runs way back when in Act 1 for, I don't know if it was a Gator sponsor, but you had one of the grocery stores that was not the higher rung grocery store, like a Save-A-Lot type grocery store. Every once in a while you walk into those stores and you don't even realize whether or not they're open.
Yeah.
That's what Publix looked like. There was 6 melons in the produce department. That was it.
Well, they restocked them overnight, though.
Oh, I
That's
got
the
you.
deal.
But I couldn't get an onion.
No. Wow.
Now, Costco, while they didn't have any cleaning supplies, had food.
Okay.
I mean, they had, all your meats, all your chicken, all your produce.
Please tell me you got an onion.
At that point, I didn't know the onion was be necessary, so I had to go to Walmart, which Walmart had the onion for me. The self-checkout line at Walmart was 45 deep.
Damn.
I've never, in fact, there was a guy restocking, and he kind of chuckled, and I went, well, good to see you're keeping your spirits up. He goes, no, I just saw that self-checkout line.
Well, I will say, I hope we can keep our sense of humor.
We don't have a choice.
Well, no. Well,
I mean, we are going to do our best today to be as a coronavirus-free zone.
I can't believe you said it. Before the show, you said you wanted to go the whole show and not even say it.
Well, I mean, David, it's obvious. We're going to treat this like it's a normal Tuesday of free agency because, quite frankly, it is.
It is. I mean, I don't know how many more normal sports days we're going to have after this week, but, I mean, this is a fairly normal sports show today.
With one exception, David. I think Bill O'Brien believes that the world is ending.
Well, it should be ending for him. I will say that. And Sean Salisbury will join us at the bottom of the hour live from Houston.
Yeah, not many times during the afternoon do I say, can we please get Sean Salisbury for 6:30? And if we have to tape him anytime between now and midnight, I'm in.
Honestly, if I was the owner of the Texans, he already would. Well, I mean, he wouldn't be allowed to make this trade if I was the owner of the Texans. What in the world is he thinking? About an hour and a half before this deal went down, there was a story that appeared in which it said Texans are basically, Mark, really bummed they don't have a first and second round pick this year and next year. And that in order to recoup some of those assets, they may have to trade someone like DeAndre Hopkins. And I thought to myself, well, if they're getting back like 3 of those 4 picks, maybe. But this is one of the top 3 receivers in the game. He's 26 years old. He'll play next year at 27. You've got him under contract for 3 more years at $14 million a year. Amari Cooper's signing for 20 per. You got DeAndre for 14 per for 3 more years. Now, he's going to want to renegotiate.
And he already does.
Okay, but, well, he got traded, so.
No, but I mean, he did before this.
Right.
And that was, he had been out on the trade block for a while, apparently.
First off, how long? Because that's all they could get for
Well,
him?
that's when I heard yesterday that they'd been shopping to run DeAndre Hopkins for a while. That was my first reaction.
I mean, and then he picks up David Johnson. When's the last time David Johnson's been healthy? 2017? I mean, hasn't he been hurt the last 2 years?
Yeah.
And he comes with a fairly big salary.
Right.
What? And he's already got 2 running backs.
David, 2 things that I read from different areas. When I first read about the trade, the David Johnson salary was described as an albatross of a salary. Okay, that's from a football person. Then, David, we all play fantasy football, at least most of us. You don't. But I happen to be in the little 14-team league. I'm in charge of our league. I'm on a group text with 6 people. One of the guys said, if this happened in the little league, Miller would have vetoed it.
Yeah.
Literally, when someone that I play fantasy with goes, we wouldn't have allowed that trade in our fantasy league.
My joke yesterday with someone was, isn't David Stern going to jump in and nix this deal like he did the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade because he didn't think the Lakers were getting enough? Or no, the Pelicans were getting enough.
Right.
Because at the time, the league was running the New Orleans franchise, and the Lakers had worked out a deal for Chris Paul, and David Stern jumped in and went, no. No, they got to give up more than that. Sorry. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I can't name 2 trades that are worse than this. At the time they were made, not how they turned out, but at the time they were made. Honestly, I mean, people did not react this way when the Herschel Walker deal went down. In fact, a lot of people thought that the Vikings made out okay because they had gone to the NFC Championship game like a year earlier, and people thought they were a player away. Okay. Now, they gave up a lot, and Jimmy didn't miss on hardly any of the picks that he got. And everybody looks back now and goes, the Herschel Walker trade. But my goodness. I mean, you gave up 2 1s and a 2 for a left tackle.
Boy, and that shows you, I mean, first off, right there, just stop. Bill O'Brien thinks the left tackle's worth 3 picks. And Laramie Tunsil's a nice tackle.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's considered an above average tackle, but he is certainly not considered an elite tackle.
He's not one of the 3 best left
Except
tackles
for by
in
Bill
footballs.
O'Brien. I mean, I thought yesterday the one thing that was definitive is that Laramie Tunsil is the most valuable player on the Houston Texans.
Yeah, apparently more so than Deshaun Watson.
Correct.
And by the way, I mean, Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, they played college ball together. They're tight. This is not going to go over well with the franchise quarterback. And I understand you eventually have to get over it to some degree and move on, but man, oh man, I think this is the beginning of the end of O'Brien and the Texans.
David,
I really do.
David, you can get over DeAndre Hopkins being gone, kinda. But here's the deal. What are the Texans about to have to do with their quarterback?
They're gonna
Pay the man his money. And when this time comes, Deshaun Watson's not going to forget that they traded his favorite receiver.
Oh, no.
And negotiations and home team discounts and all that kind of crap went right out the window.
This is one of the worst trades I've ever seen. I mean, it really is. I don't care if he was balking and wanting a new contract. You just say to him, dude, we don't redo contracts 3 years out. I'll redo your contract in a year. But you wanted this deal just 2 years ago. We gave it to you. You're at least going to have to live out 60% of the deal. I don't know what to tell you. We're not setting a precedent where we sign 5-year contracts and we renegotiate them 2 years later. Now, for you and for Deshaun, I would renegotiate one 3 years later because you're one of the very best at your position. And apparently Bill O'Brien didn't get along with DeAndre Hopkins. Man, you got to start getting along with your really good players. You know, their best offensive lineman they had since he's been there. The left tackle, traded him to Seattle. Clowney, trade. Hopkins, trade. Why are the Houston Texans trading their best players?
You know, sounds a little like when a certain guy was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Mr. Offense there. Doesn't
Yeah.
it? Reminiscent of
Yeah.
Mr. Kelly in Philadelphia when he just said, if you're a good player, I have to get rid of you. If you have any sort of a personality and an attitude and might not like what I'm doing, I got to dump you because it's my system. No, it's what Michael Irvin said a long time ago.
Yeah,
it's not the X's and O's.
It's the Jimmys and the Joes. Absolutely. You can't cover DeAndre Hopkins. You cannot cover him. There's no one in the league that can cover him. Mano on mano. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Will Fuller's their number 2 receiver. He can't stay on the field. Diggs is their number 3 receiver. Not Diggs.
Stills
is their number 3 receiver. He's a very good number 3 receiver. He's actually a solid number 2 receiver.
No,
I like him.
and their combo when Fuller was on the field was lethal because he is lightning fast. He stretched defenses. Stills is a really nice player, and DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the game right now.
So DeAndre Hopkins gets traded, and if you missed it overnight, Stephon Diggs is a Buffalo Bill.
Oh, yeah, Bills Mafia.
There you go, baby.
Talk to me this morning.
There you go. It's what you needed.
You are very happy this morning.
It's what you needed. You gave up your first-round pick, and actually you gave up 3 others as well.
You got one back.
Yeah, 7th. You gave up a 5th and a 6th this year. You gave up a 4th next year. But basically, you're giving up a 1st. I mean, there were teams yesterday, Mark, that decided, you know what? we're getting me some players, which is interesting that Buffalo, I mean, they could have taken a wide receiver in the first round. They could have. You know what this tells me? Bills think they can win now. Bills think they can win now.
Tells me two things, David. That's the first one, and I think the most important one. But the other one is, for as many good first-year receivers as there were in the National Football League a year ago. And, David, I think last year was the exception, not the norm. That is a position that typically they say takes a couple of years to grow into. And there were 3 or 4 rookie receivers last year that broke out that surprised all of us. Leads me to believe that as good as the wide receiver class is, general managers still don't have, and maybe coaches more than GMs, don't have the ultimate trust in which rookie receiver they're going to get to be able to come in and help them win. Hey, it could be a really nice piece. It could make us better if he develops. But we can't count on a wide receiver coming out of college to help us win now. And I think that's the bottom line of what the Diggs trade is about for Buffalo. Doesn't mean they won't get another one.
So Stephon Diggs gets dealt, and you got to give up a number 1 and 3 additional picks for that. But DeAndre Hopkins gets dealt, and Arizona does not have to give up their first-round pick.
Nope, they had to give up David Johnson when they already have Kenyon Drake on the team.
Which Arizona was thrilled to get rid of David Johnson. Get rid of that
terrible contract.
Right. And they gave up a second and a fourth, but they get a fourth back. So basically, DeAndre Hopkins was acquired for David Johnson and a second-round pick. Are you kidding me? Please tell me there's a first-round pick in this deal that we're missing. Like next year's first-rounder.
And they use the transition on Drake because they don't have to use, not opting not to use the franchise, so they're going to get picks if someone actually wants to go get Drake. That division's fascinating already,
yes,
David.
Yes, it is.
Fascinating.
Yes, it is.
Because Arizona played everybody pretty damn tough, including San Francisco twice.
Niners making a big deal. Since they kept Eric Armstead, they felt going forward they wouldn't be able to afford DeForest Buckner. Indianapolis Colts sitting at 13, looking at the defensive tackles in this draft going, yeah, we're not going to get what we need at 13. There's just nobody good enough.
No, you've got what? The kid from Auburn.
And that's
about it.
At tackle, this is basically it in terms of a really impact tackle. And so they said, you know what? Why don't we give up our first-round pick and go get one? And the Colts have a ton of money, so they can afford to give DeForest Buckner down the road here, whatever it is he wants. And so they gave up their first-round pick, and now the Niners have 13 and 31 in the first round. They kept Armstead. What they're going to need is they're going to need Solomon Thomas to step up. I mean, if he actually plays remotely close to the second overall pick of the draft, they'll be fine. But they lose some of their quality and their depth along their defensive line, which was the strength of the team. And there you have it.
By the way, the Eagles, I thought Hargrove was a pretty good pickup for the Eagles. Now you got Fletcher Cox and you got Hargrove for Philadelphia. That is going to be a pretty tough defense to do much on in the middle.
And the Ravens are bulking up on the defensive line. Michael Brockers. I mean, they're loading up. They trade for Calais Campbell, Michael Brockers. I mean, they took a look at Tennessee running that thing down their throat, and they said, this ain't happening again.
Nope.
This is not happening again. No siree. And the Miami Dolphins, they got their checkbook out yesterday. Couple of them I like. Couple of them, what? You gave Eric Flowers what? He's had 2 good months in the NFL. You gave him what? Miller and Moulton. NFL free agency. Remember, this is just the tampering period. They're just allowed to talk.
And is there a new team involved in the TB12 sweepstakes?
Apparently so. And that's coming out of Boston.
I mean, are we right in the middle of what is Tom Brady Central? David, the Tamiami Trail.
I-75. TB12 on either end of it. The fight for TB12.
We may make it a poll question today. It may be time for a TB12 poll question.
No! It's been at least 3 weeks.
It's all football all the time today, kids.
Damn right. What else is going on?
Nothing.
St. Patrick's Day.
Whatever.
Exactly. Okay. Wear your green. Celebrate.
You don't even have your green on.
No. I'm not in the mood. My wife got the dog all dressed up.
Do you want a green armband or something?
No, I'm in mourning.
Well, that's what I mean. Instead of a black armband, do you want a green one?
No. I'm skipping St. Patrick's Day this year. All right. I'm just doing this is like the hockey strike.
Do you want to? I've got a harp I could get for you.
Nope. It's kind of like the 1994 baseball season, 2005 hockey season. Nope. Just St. Patrick's Day, just eliminating it.
I have 2 poll questions that you can think of.
No playoffs for St. Patrick's Day this year. Nope. Nothing.
2 ideas for a poll question. 1 is a Tom Brady poll question. 2 is a St. Patrick's question, which is, will you get drunk alone on St. Patrick's Day? It's either that or where TB12 plays. You think about it and decide on the other side. We have, I don't think, a good show. I don't even think this is a good show regular season. This is a great show regular season. The fact that we're doing it in the middle of this mess is even better.
Sean Salisbury's next. Pat Kerwin's coming on early. So he'll join us at 7 o'clock. Roy Cummings at 7:30 to talk
Tom Brady.
Come on, they are doing a few other things.
Tom Brady.
and
Get your tickets now. We could have sellouts at every home game at one stadium in Florida if they are able to sign Tom Brady.
And if he's not playing in Tampa, is he playing in Miami? Chris Perkins of The Athletic. He will join us to talk about all the Dolphins' moves and the one big one that they're contemplating. Oh, you gotta love it. Gotta love it.
The NFL making our lives somewhat sane again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And David, I think I speak for you, but I'll let you say it yourself. For all of you reporters who are very angry at the NFL and how dare they pay Ryan Tannehill when people can't eat? Here's a news flash for you. They were going to pay Ryan Tannehill anyhow, and people weren't going to be able to eat. Doesn't matter whether it's today, tomorrow, or 6 months from now.
Right.
NFL players make obscene, sickening salaries when it compares them to the rest of the world. But it doesn't matter. It's monopoly money. Shut up. Get over it. What did we is there anything that we needed more than NFL free agency this week, David?
I think the NFL's doing us a public service. I really do.
Yes.
I really do. Thank you, NFL.
You know, MLB has their tax-exempt whatever status.
Right, antitrust.
Yeah, give it to the NFL because they did more for us than baseball's done in the last 20 years. You know what baseball does? They strike out. You know what football does? They sign free agents.
Baseball hasn't had a strike since 94.
Didn't say they strike. I said they strike out.
Well, they do that.
That's all they do is strike out.
Miller and Moulton. Sean Salisbury is next to talk about maybe the worst trade in NFL history. That's all.
Oh, my God. Look at this dog.
That's our...
You're going to see this on YouTube and Twitch during the break. This is pathetic.
And by pathetic, he means our dog.
Yeah.
The bulldog. My wife dressed her up in St. Patrick's Day stuff. It's pretty embarrassing. The show is not. Well, at least not today. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us and for watching on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels.
Receiving. Over.
Alexa, play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
LeBron has shown his greatness. Kevin Durant's a better player.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker.
Are we cheering for idiots? What's going on?
Sounds more like a dumb speaker, am I right?
You're an idiot. Nice job.
Get Southwest Florida sports talk delivered to your speaker.
This is easy.
Just say, Alexa,
Hello.
play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Finally, something worthwhile.
I didn't think it was going to be this easy.
Say goodbye to those annoying parking lot scratches with a paint repair at Maaco. It's as easy as book, quote, fix. Go to Maaco.com for more info. Better get Maaco.
King Roofing's long-standing reputation gives you the peace of mind that they'll be here if and when a warranty repair is needed. There are some great roofing companies in Naples, but there are also storm chasers.
All right,
They
I'm
set
just
up
going to break
shop
you on a little
after
secret
storm,
here.
and they leave a few years later. When the
David
leaves
has
dry out,
zero.
leaving homeowners in a bind
And I
when there's a
emphasize
warranty issue.
zero
Stay
authority
local and call King
to
Roofing
do,
today.
License number CCC
stop,
05727.
or allow anything to be done to that dog that is not completely done by the wife. He has zero. Zero. I mean, that is one of 600 pictures that, to me, should be considered animal cruelty. But she doesn't hit the dog. She feeds the dog and loves on the dog. So it's not really animal cruelty because the dog does not know how pathetic he looks. She looks. That's actually a girl dog, which actually adds to the pitifulness of the outfits that Rufus gets. But see, now David's wife is extremely happy, even though I'm making fun of her right now because the dog got on camera. That's really all she wants.
PanOptix, specially designed to help patients see 20/20 at distances that are near, far, and even in between. See your future in 2020. Find out if you are a candidate for PanOptix today by dialing ** 2020 from your cell or call 239-418-0999.
Friends, I care. Listen to the Dan Patrick Show at work.
Never boring. That's for sure.
Streaming 24/7 at FoxSportsFM.com.
Dog, how did you let Molten do this to
Great news, Southwest Florida. Almost
I'm like,
every
well, first off,
2020
it doesn't matter. You have no say-so over any clothing on that dog.
The dog adores the wife. The wife can do anything with that dog. That dog sat there patiently while the wife put all that stuff on her.
Because you know why? The dog's getting attention. You could dress my dog. Frank, you could dress. He wouldn't care.
As long as Ethan's doing it.
Doesn't matter who's doing it. If you're petting them while you're putting it on it, they don't care.
And besides, I'm here. She did it after I left. I think it's animal abuse.
I did say that. I told her. I said I believe this is cruelty to animals. But
listen, I know.
In Fort Myers, open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. Wrangler Rubicon models excluded. 42-month basis, 10,000 miles per year, $29.99 do it signing plus tax. Dealer acquisition fee, zero security deposit, lender approval, minimum trade toward the purchase of select vehicles. Offers don't come.
Hi, this is Rich Castellano. I invite you to come check out the world-famous cigar bar.
Nobody beats the world-famous cigar bar.
He would always get all the way to
original cigar bar since 1996, with locations in historic
Got your
downtown
caller.
Fort Myers, Gold Coast Town Center, and Cape Coral. Sit at the bar or relax in the lounge in comfort, with plenty of TVs at all three locations, where you can watch your favorite sports in comfort. Step into the humidor and let one of our experienced tobacconists help you pick the perfect cigar from our great selection. And the liquor, martinis, single malt scotches, small batch bourbons, high-end cognacs, and a great selection of craft beers. Nothing can compare to the selection, experience, and atmosphere of the world-famous cigar bar in historic downtown Fort Myers at the corner of First and Henry, at the Gulf Coast Town Center Mall next to Outback Steakhouse, and in Cape Coral on 47th Terrace in the Big John's Plaza.
Two baseball trades.
Great
We said
cigars at the
football
world-famous
trades for
cigar bar.
everybody. One is
Don't
the
forget
Frank
Cigar
Robinson
Bar
from Bill
Live
Pappas and
downtown.
then the Ryan Sandberg Larry Boa.
This is Lois Tomey from Wink News. Every day we feel a profound sense of responsibility to keep you informed on what's going on in your community. You can define your community as your neighborhood, your country, your world. Now more than ever, facts, not fears, are essential requirements so you can feel and be safe.
Jim
I feel like we've been
Fergosi.
preparing for this assignment for years.
Wow, that is just
earning
such
your
a
trust,
fantastic
newscast by
poll.
newscast. We cherish that trust.
Jeff
and
Burrows
intend to
and
keep
Ryan
earning it.
Hargraves should be in there as well. Mike
Now back
Hargraves.
to Miller and Moulton.
Catchers, Eagles, Indians,
It's
right?
Miller and Moulton.
First base.
You're live.
It is 6:30 straight up on this Tuesday morning. This St. Patrick's Day, the worst St. Patrick's Day ever, for the obvious reasons. Thanks so much for joining us. Pat Kerwin at the top of the hour. Roy Cummings in an hour to talk the Bucks. Chris Perkins at 8 a.m. to talk the Dolphins. But it's a pleasure to welcome back Sean Salisbury. He's gracious enough to do this 30 minutes before he starts his own show on Sports Talk 790 in Houston. You can follow Sean on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. First off, Sean, all the best to you and your family during these times. How are you this morning?
All is well. Same to you. I appreciate everybody's healthy and good, and do what we can to look after those who need a little bit of special care and attention. But we're fine. Thank you, and I appreciate you saying so. And the same to you and your family and everybody there.
Thanks, Sean.
You guys.
Thanks, absolutely, Sean. Appreciate it. Sean, you know, when I saw the trade, I think like you right now, I think all of us have about 17 different group texts going around because of the social distancing. But I had a buddy of mine that's, you know, a non-football guy that's in a fantasy league that I happen to run. I thought he may have summed it up best. When he typed out, he goes, Miller would have vetoed this trade in our fantasy league. That's how bad people think it was. I mean, Sean, you've been around this game, you played it, you've been involved your whole life. Can you think of 3 worse trades in the National Football League?
No, I probably, and I was in Minnesota the year after we made the trade, or was it the next year for Herschel. And Herschel Walker, a special guy, was great for our team, but for what ended up being, 11 guys, and the Cowboys went on and won, 3 Super Bowls. That was a great trade for the Cowboys, decent for us, but you can see how that affected. And then I start to go in my mind, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but I can't fathom that you would trade away. And Watson's the most important player on this team, and your great quarterback is the most important player on any team because they got the ball in their hands 65, 75 times a game. But the best football player on the Texans is DeAndre Hopkins. And quite frankly, since J.J. Watt's a little older in age, it's not close. Tunsil's going to be a special player. And then you go out and get an aging back who, this isn't on David Johnson. It's not his fault. He just wants to help. But when you look what you got, and then you do, so what do you now think about their needs, guys? They got rid of Jadeveon Clowney last year. They need an edge rusher. They didn't get a first-round pick for him. And they still need an edge rusher. They need corners. Now they need wide receiver depth. You have your best receiver. You trade him away. Now what do you need? You need a wide receiver. You got Kenny Stills, who's been inconsistent, but he's a number 2 or 3 guy. You got Will Fuller, who's a number 2, but only plays about 10 games a year, and now is going to be the number 1. You're going to roll coverage him. You go out and get Randall Cobb, who outside of Green Bay hasn't been overly productive, and you know, he got, $27 million for 3 years, and you didn't want to pay Hopkins? I mean, this to me, my head's going to explode. If Bill O'Brien, the coach, wasn't the general manager, let's just say he had zero power with that and he just coached the team, and a general manager walked downstairs to him and said, hey, we're gonna go get a second-round pick and an aging back who we already had pretty good production from 2 backs last year, who may not fit, he may fit, what are we going to do? But we're going to trade Hopkins for him and not get a first-rounder. Bill O'Brien will waltz upstairs and argue with the owner, but Bill O'Brien, the general manager and head coach, who's as ego-filled and power-hungry as we have in the league now that he's got this kind of power, what ruins teams is ego and pride. What ruins relationships, ego and pride. What ruins businesses is ego and pride. And this city, he was already in trouble with this city as far as even going to the playoffs and with Watson. They wanted him fired after and then blowing a lead. This is almost like a fireable offense if 24-0 against Kansas City wasn't. At least a fireable offense for the GM. I cannot fathom. On my show yesterday when it was Vance, we were talking about saying there's no way. And then take on all of David Johnson's money. This is just a stupid, moronic trade that Bill O'Brien, and then you got Cal McNair who had to approve it. It's like, what are you doing as an owner? I mean, is your head in the clouds? You're not paying attention? This franchise is with a great quarterback is wasting a superstar, and they've got no shot to be a Super Bowl team without a guy like Hopkins or somebody that good. I mean, they'll be a very, very easy team to stop at the perimeter this year because they don't have that one guy who every time the ball's thrown his way can finish.
Sean, I saw a story late morning yesterday in which, and I forget who it was, that said, you know, Houston's basically, they're really bummed. They don't have a first and second round pick this year and next. And if they want to recoup some of those assets, the only guy they could trade is DeAndre Hopkins. And I thought to myself, well, if they're going to get back 2 1s and a 2, okay. And I'm thinking, who's going to give that up and blah, blah, blah. And then an hour later, this deal gets announced. I mean, does this all go back to essentially like Clowney? I mean, I feel as if, and maybe even the left tackle the year before that. I mean, it seems to me as if Bill O'Brien is having problems relating to the best players on the team, because you could argue of the 6 best players on the Texans over the last 4 years, he's just traded 4 of them.
Yeah, well, and you also Hopkins, Dwayne Brown, Clowney, and you're exactly right. And it's almost if somebody starts to creep up that's not the quarterback, that's got power, that can demand a lot of money, then Bill says, you know what, I'm going to show him who's boss. And I've been one here, guys, in town, that's actually defended him more as a coach. I've said he's got too much on his plate, but as a coach, if he just focused on being a coach, I think he'd be pretty decent. And he's got the quarterback to work with. If I'm Watson right now, I waltz up. I honestly tell him, you know what? Don't even discuss a contract extension with me, because you know what? We're not just here to get by and get to the playoffs. You want to win a championship, and you're supposed to add weapons. You think Andy Reid's going to take weapons away from Mahomes? Do you think that? I mean, no. They're going to add weapons. They're going to add weapons for Garoppolo, especially they trade their defensive lineman to get a first. They're going to add a receiver in San Francisco. They're adding weapons. So you've got one of the great quarterbacks in the league. You take him away. You're exactly right. It's almost as if he takes it personal that somebody may be challenging the power structure. And you can't trade Watt, well, because J.J. Watt's the most popular dude in this town. So then there's Watson. So, yeah, it gets to a point. Great coaches and teachers and leaders don't tell you how to do it. They show you. And they learn how to deal with 53 different guys. They may have the same rule for everybody on a team, but you can't deal with everybody the same. And it's as if Bill makes it personal. I've tried to decipher why, because they did not help their team. They weakened a team yesterday. They didn't get better yesterday. They weakened a team. The only way this works is if your new second-round pick becomes a Pro Bowl wide receiver for 6 straight years and catches 100 balls. And David Johnson is a top 3 rusher and is an MVP candidate. Other than that, tell me how this made this team better yesterday and this year. The people in this town are ready to go off. And when I open my show at 6 o'clock, I'm probably going to unload more on Bill O'Brien than I have in any coach in a lot of years.
Sean, it reminds me of what Chip Kelly did in Philadelphia. He got rid of every talented player and got shown the door. I don't know how this works for Bill.
Where's Chip now? Yeah, man, I love Chip, but he's coaching it. You're exactly right. Coaching at UCLA on a team that when he first got there, he let the guys coach them and had his stars. And Nick Foles had a great year, and they were pretty good, made the playoffs, in the first couple of years. And then all of a sudden you get too much power, and before you know it, too much power, as I said, ego and pride ruin franchises, and now Chip's trying to stay alive winning games at UCLA. Exactly.
He's Sean Salisbury. He's about to go on the air at the top of the hour.
With nothing to talk about.
Right, nothing at all.
Sean, I do look at it this way. At least
sports,
with everything else going on, and it's been tough for all of us, but, I mean, really and truly, Bill O'Brien just told the Astros to hold my beer. I mean, at least he gives you something here when you've just been had to beat up on the Astros for the last few months.
Yeah, we've been in Houston, guys, and with all the and obviously health and all that, we know the national, what's going on is important. But you think about this when people are saying, well, what are we going to talk about? Lists and, where your best restaurant? Well, restaurants are closed, so you can't talk about that on your show. But you think about it. We got the Rockets who started to play small ball and have started to struggle. And then when they come back, we'll see. And getting rid of centers, and they're playing all small. You got the Astros, and we don't need to even say anything about that because you know what's going on with that. Now you add Bill O'Brien to the fray and gave away your best football player for a second-round pick, and you gave them a fourth-round pick, got a fourth-round back for David Johnson, who they couldn't give away with the money he was making in his contract. And all of a sudden, Bill can say, "Oh, don't worry about that. Talk about hold my beer." So if there's any city in the country that's got sports to talk about, it may not be for the good reasons, but we got it here in Houston, and it will dominate the show because I'm going to need 49 phone lines, and we're not even a phone-driven show, a caller-driven show, to answer the questions about why he'd do it. And my answer is simply, I have no idea other than pride and ego because nobody gives away their best football player for that. I said at least two ones, and then we'll talk about how he's 27, guys. He's not 32. He's 27.
No, well,
he hasn't even played his best football yet.
No.
It's ridiculous.
No, I mean, and he's under contract at 14 per for 3 more years when he's 27, 28, 29. Now, obviously, they would have to renegotiate at some point in the next 3 years, but my goodness, this is one of the greatest players and reasonable contracts in the league. But, Sean...
What if I told you guys this real quick? If I called you up and said, hey, with Drew Brees, who's 40 or whatever, you're going to be 41 or something, and you woke up this morning and they traded Michael Thomas to Houston, Michael Thomas and a fourth-rounder to Houston for Duke Johnson and a second-rounder. Isn't that if the Saints would have done that, people in New Orleans would have gone crazy. Isn't that basically what we did here? Was probably the best receiver and the second best, with Thomas and Hopkins, and then you trade a second. Wouldn't that have been people going, no, what? And then we got a 25-year-old quarterback whose best still is in front of him, and he's 15 years younger than Brees. Imagine if the Saints traded Michael Thomas for a second-round pick. Isn't that in essence, and a running back that's going to be is just kind of a guy? Isn't that what we did here in Houston? Yes. I just can't fathom the decision that he made. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah, it's unfathomable, the trade. But, Sean, do you think that this will be what finally turns the tide, not with the fans, but with the owner? Will this be what finally gets the owner who, this ownership from the father who's passed now to the son who owns it, they have given Bill O'Brien, he won the power struggle with Rick Smith. They've given him more power every hour of the day he's been on the job. Do you think this is the turning point?
He had to approve it. He had to approve this. So I don't think so. I think it just shows that Bill O'Brien has more power to waltz upstairs and say, listen, Cal, here's what we're going to do. Okay, Bill, you're in charge. Do it. No, I don't. He just promoted him to the full-time GM with a new contract he gave him, as you had mentioned. Now, think about it. Here's what this starts to do. The locker room.
Oh.
When players become fractured in the locker room and they start, there's 4 of your 5 biggest stars or something, waltz upstairs and say, what are you doing? That's it's not even going to be the owner. It's when the players, your top-notch players, start waltzing in and saying, like Watson, like Watt, and saying, come on, man, we've supported you publicly, talking to the head coach and the GM, and saying, this can't continue. Where is the commitment to win and not just getting by? And until that happens, you think about power, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, guys that within there, I'm not talking about across the league, but even though they're powerful, but in their organization that owners just kind of sit back and say, it's your show. Didn't Cal McNair put Bill O'Brien in that category? Think about it. Well, most of us thought after a 24-0 lead, well, he's going to get fired. Cal McNair waltzed down to him and said, hey, not only you're not getting fired, we're going to add the GM and you're the head coach. And at the time, he was the offensive coordinator until he just gave it up 2 weeks ago. You're going to get more power. So, no, he is one of the more powerful guys within an organization in this league. Unless they go 6-10 and the players fracture and Watson says, I'm leaving Houston, Bill O'Brien's not going anywhere.
Well, it makes me wonder, did they call anybody else? I got to think 28 teams just called Bill O'Brien and go, Bill, we would have offered you more. Why didn't you call us? That's what I'm wondering about, yeah. Sean. Did he call anybody else but Arizona? Because how in the world could any team in the league not give up more for DeAndre Hopkins than what Arizona did?
Wouldn't you think if you're a team that's like the Jets with Sam Darnold,
yes,
or the Giants with Daniel Jones, and you're saying, well, we lost. Let's just go. Any of these, even Seattle, add another guy for Russ Wilson, or the 49ers, who need and say, we need one big player. Bill, we'll give you a 4th-round pick and a number 1.
Well,
for Hopkins.
They just acquired. They acquired the 13th pick of the draft. They would have taken that pick and handed it to Houston.
Or even if you didn't want the 13th, don't they have another one? I think they now have 2 first-round picks.
13 and 31.
Yeah, there you go. So even
Buffalo sent Diggs.
There you go. So you say, well, hey, they got more for Diggs. Don't you say, well, and Hopkins, like I said, it seems like you could have called without even a negotiation and got a first-round pick. Just by making a simple phone call. So that it's almost, and you know what? But Hopkins is going to be okay. Why? He's going to do an offense that's going to feature him even more. They're going to throw it more. He's got great Larry Fitzgerald there to even teach him and be a guidance to him as well. And Kyler Murray within the next 3 years is going to be a Pro Bowler and one of the best quarterbacks in this league. I'm telling you now. So while they're not going to win a lot of games, Hop's still going to get his 115, 110 catches, and he's going to say, you know what? I don't have to deal with Bill O'Brien now. And look what Steve Keim has done. A year ago, we were all like, is this guy going to get fired? Rosen, draft him. And now Steve Keim's a genius. He unloaded all that money with David Johnson. He's got Hopkins. He drafted Kyler Murray. They're on the uptick and on the upswing, and they're a dangerous football team. And he stole, legalized theft, DeAndre Hopkins. Amazing.
Got Kirk as a 2 and Larry Fitz as a 3 this year for the record. And Kenyon
think
Drake in the
they're gonna be okay?
backfield.
Yeah.
This offense is pretty damn good.
Who in that offense is a good number one back because he can do both. He fits their system better than David Johnson. And it's not like David Johnson dominated the league last year. He was a guy that was spending a lot of time standing on the sidelines, and everybody knew they were desperate to get rid of him. So what you did is you played into a desperate team, and they gave you a number 2, and they got a number 4 back. And they gave you David Johnson. It's not like they gave you the David Johnson who was a top 4 or 5 back in the league a 3 years ago. You got the David Johnson who had a bad knee, bad injury, rehab. It got better, can catch the ball, but you're still not sure. Is he that guy or a guy? Well, we gave you a guy. I mean, we gave you that guy, and in return, right now, we think we got a guy. I don't understand. In a throwing league with a team that needs more explosiveness, and you decided to give him away? Come on, man. It's nothing more than a low IQ football trade, and that's what Bill O'Brien did.
All right. Take a deep breath. Get some water.
And I'm going to put a smile on my face while I'm doing it. So I always love coming on with you. You know that.
Sean, thanks so much. And we said it earlier, all the best to you and your family. Stay safe, be well, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
I can't wait. Hopefully everything will get back to normalcy and everybody's safe. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. Have a good morning.
Sean Salisbury about to do mornings on Sports Talk 790 in Houston. You can follow him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. If he had sent out a mass email to the other 31 teams and had just taken, hey, I'm going to trade DeAndre Hopkins by noon, send me your best offer, what he would have gotten.
Diggs got a first rounder.
Diggs got a first, a fifth, a sixth for this year, and a fourth for next year.
Right.
Diggs got
4 picks.
Right, including a first rounder.
Right.
He traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals for a second. David Johnson and a second.
Because the fourths were exchanged.
They swapped fourths. Right. Come on.
And I got to be honest, I don't know which fourth's going to be better.
It's absurd. It's absurd. Your friend is right. It would have been rejected
I'm telling
in fantasy
you, it
leagues.
would have been rejected in fantasy leagues.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin will join us at the top of the hour. There were only about 36 free agency signings yesterday, which is funny because you're not allowed to sign anybody until the afternoon tomorrow, and there were a handful of big trades as well. We'll talk to Pat about all of it coming up at the top of the hour on Miller and Moulton. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and, well, thanks for making us part of your day here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
I texted with a source last night. I said, what if the Miami Dolphins said to Jerry Jones, we'll give you 2 first-round picks for Dak Prescott? What would Jerry Jones do? Because to build a successful team, you have that quarterback who's not a financial drain. I think Jerry Jones would seriously contemplate that.
Dan Patrick.
And here they are.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Teresa O'Shea with Wink News. This morning, 5 more tests came back positive for coronavirus. That brings Florida's total to 160. 1 person has died in Orange County. Right now, Broward and Miami-Dade counties have the most positive cases. With Florida's primary still on today, the president is urging voters to avoid groups of 10 or more. Polling locations across Southwest Florida are taking extra precautions to stay clean. Governor DeSantis
can't help you with that, David.
Make a decision on closing or limiting capacity at bars and restaurants.
I mean, Louisiana did it right away. We're moving on primary.
And Georgia pushed it back as well. Honestly, I think this is something in which
trading is
and
up after
the
the worst
president
day
has the
in
authority
30
to do
years.
this.
For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News.
I think he should
Facts,
have
not
just
fear.
called everybody and said, first Tuesday in June.
To Jimmy P's
All
Char.
the primaries
As you
are
enter
being
through the
pushed
front
back.
doors, you'll know that you've arrived
Don't know
in the
what to
finest
tell you.
steak and chop house in
Okay,
Southwest
also,
Florida.
who
All
works
cuts
the polls?
expertly
Who
cut.
volunteers
Old people.
as old people?
A true butcher block
All right,
to table
come on.
experience.
Now, we gotta
3
be smart
generations
about
of
this.
mastering Wagyu beef, heritage Berkshire pork, poultry, lamb, and veal.
I don't know why we're
The mood
voting.
of Chard's nostalgic dining area is upbeat,
I'll be
high
honest.
energy,
How about
and
this?
casual
In fact,
sophistication.
I-
A friendly and relaxed place, not fancy.
Mail it.
stuffy.
We just
Chard's staff
and he does
works
have the
hard to
authority
make
to
you
do
feel
this.
at
Also,
home.
he could
Come
just
in
say
and unwind.
mail-in
Enjoy an
ballots
exquisite
every
glass
place.
of wine or
Gotta be
perhaps a
postmarked by
handcrafted
June
beer with your
1st.
perfectly charged
Don't know what to tell you.
afternoon or
Okay.
evening. It's going to be a
You got
wonderful
2.5 months
experience
if
at
you haven't
Chard.
voted
Jimmy
already.
P's Chard on South US 41 in Bonita Springs.
Watch the
Jimmy
circuit.
P's Butcher
Somehow.
Shop on Old
Okay,
US
there's a company
41 in
called
Bonita
Trim.
Springs.
And I saw it on the
Online,
hustle. So
JimmyP'sChard.com.
you sign up, doesn't cost
Welcome to
anything.
Jimmy
You give them your
P's
phone
Chard.
bill, you give them your
Stop
cable
in
bill,
today
and they will
and
negotiate
tell them
you
Jimmy sent
cheaper
you.
bills. Well, they knocked $80 off my cable bill. I'm like, well, hot
Our
damn.
good friend Tim
And their deal
Meister,
is they get
owner of the Four
30%.
Meisters in
All
Naples.
right.
TJ, we hear
Hot
you've
steam
added
and
several
deal.
new colors of
Yeah.
Gore-Tex to your great
Only
lineup of
problem is they
products at the
took
store.
HBO and
Tell us more
Showtime
about
off.
that.
That's not the same deal.
New colors of
I didn't have the circus. I didn't have last week tonight. Sunday nights on HBO and Showtime are kind of a big deal in my world. Right.
55 colors of Core-Tech in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tech that you have. You also have other Core-Tech products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tech Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tech, so you get the softness, quietness,
You know,
and
billions
the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tech wood, look of wood,
$12 a
real
month.
wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
So,
If you haven't been to the
I
Four
put them back
you really
on.
owe it to
So I
yourself
watched
to visit
Circus
the
last
store.
night.
6281 Naples Boulevard,
Which
right
was,
next
you
to
know,
Costco,
pretty fast and,
or
you know,
go
just a week in
online,
reviews for me, but-
Fourmeisters.com. That's fourmeisters.com.
Hat guy.
You own a home with a tile
interviews
shingle
this
roof.
dude in
You live
D.C.
between
who is
Port
a
Charlotte
big-time
and Marco Island. Hello, I'm Jimmy
Republican
Williamson
strategist.
with Williamson Brothers Roofing.
As
You answer yes to either
McCannon
question.
or whatever
It's very
described
likely
him, he
your
is
roof
a
suffered
cross-section
damage from Hurricane Irma.
of
It's not visible from
politics,
the ground, and you may very well
finance.
be
He's the
entitled to
guy
a new
that
roof
doesn't
with little or
matter.
no money in
Bipartisans, worked with
But
both
you only have
sides
a
for
few
30
ways
years.
to make a
He
claim.
knows how to
Time
make
is
the
running
machine
out.
work.
You have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island. Call us. 239.
I mean, this is the problem that he has going
It's a free,
forward. And
no
it's like,
obligation inspection
hey, at the end of the
that
day,
can benefit you in the form of
we
a
do
new
look at
roof.
this guy to
Williamson
lead
Brothers
us in
Roofing.
crisis if
We
you
deal
can't
with the
lead us.
insurance
I
carrier
already
for
told
you.
the states
Call us at
yesterday.
239
Hey, you guys are on your own.
2013
Go find
Again,
a
time is running
vendor.
out.
They show.
Call us
They show.
239
First, he said he ordered a bunch.
283 2013.
We ordered
Williamson
tons
Brothers
of
Roofing
just ask.
specializes in the claims process. We have experts
showed the
standing by.
question.
We
Well,
get
then
claims
I watched
approved.
John Oliver.
239-283-2013.
And he has two people at his studio.
I'm a busy person.
Catch the show anytime. Check out MillerandMoulton.com.
They're not there.
and subscribe
They've done it
to the
already.
podcast.
He is in front
Ever
of
purchased an online item and either it
white-
doesn't fit, has
white
missing parts, or became damaged? Trying to save a few
White.
bucks can end
Right,
up costing
I got it.
more. My Shower Door is a locally owned and operated family
shows the
business
question.
that measures,
I don't know.
manufactures,
I'm
and
describing.
installs
Nobody
our
freak
own
out
brand
here.
of frameless
Heavy
shower
set
doors
black woman
right
at the
here in
Rose Garden
Southwest
restaurant.
Florida.
I don't know if you
And
saw it.
we were
You
just
know,
named Lee County's
and
manufacturer
she
of the
starts,
year.
and
With
she
almost
starts, he
80,000
starts blaming
shower doors
everybody else.
installed,
Yeah.
we have the experience and expertise. Plus, estimates
So
are
he
always
shows
free. Want to see more? Go to myShowerDoor.com.
Did you know that King Roofing has expert dedicated repair crews to troubleshoot roof problems?
Buck
They
stops
fix
with Tony.
everything from tree damage to broken tiles and of course
Hey,
roof
Tony,
leaks.
the
Do you have
buck
leaks
stops.
or water stains or tile damage? Call King Roofing, a roofing
It was
company
so
with the
funny.
right team to repair it. King Roofing,
But he's got no audience, so
experienced
his
in
little
roof
jokes
repair
and
for
his little,
over
and he's
40
still
years.
doing them
License number CCC 057.
because he really complimented Fauci. Really, I mean, hey, the only guy in this administration. But he's
Now
not my
back to
favorite.
Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Whatever
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
6 minutes before 7 o'clock, Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. streaming at foxsportsfm.com, and you can catch us many a place, including the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. They are free. Feel free to sign up for them. We would appreciate it if you did. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, you get a free Twitch channel with your membership. So sign up and make the Miller and Moulton channel your free channel. We'd appreciate it.
We do have our poll question up, and that is, where is Tom Brady going to play? I couldn't resist, David. I could not resist. Where is Tom Brady going to play in 2020? 4 choices. New England, the LA Chargers, Tampa Bay, and Miami.
And the reason Miami is on the list is because a Boston television sportscaster last night said, I'm hearing that the Dolphins are in on Brady. They want him. They're after him. Okay.
Right now, Tampa is the overwhelming leader. Almost half of you think that Tom Brady's going to be a Buck. And I don't think that that's wishful thinking, because I don't know if we've got 8 Bucks fans left down here anymore. New England second, Chargers third, Dolphins bringing up the rear.
Well, I have said.
No, you have been all over Tampa from the get-go, David. I was all over Tennessee. That did not happen.
I have said 2 things consistently. Could be wrong on both. One, Brady went out of his way to negotiate unrestricted free agency. It certainly begs the question why. And I can't believe it is because he wants to return to New England first and foremost. I mean, there's got to be something going on within TB12 to negotiate unrestricted free agency, because he did not have to do that. And secondly, Tampa's clearly going to have the best offer. I am convinced of that. And Mark, I mean, if you were arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, certainly the most accomplished quarterback of all time, don't you have a healthy ego? Whether you show it or not, aren't you a prideful man? Don't you have a healthy ego inside? I would think you do. And are you going to walk away from the best offer? Clearly the best offer.
Well, it is the one reason why Miami at the 11th hour is interesting, because they have a boatload of money, David. A boatload of money. They could make the man an offer he couldn't refuse.
Pat Kerwin next.
50. I knew right what you were doing there, too. I knew right what you were doing there.
Amazing. But where are the speakers?
Bastards! All of them.
They are invisible. It's the coolest new technology, and they're the best speakers on the market.
It's crazy. I've heard of wireless speakers, but invisible speakers? That's epic.
Epic Audio and Video invites you to experience invisible speakers for yourself. You won't believe your ears or your eyes. Visit Epic Audio Video Showroom on the corner of US 41 and Pine Ridge in Naples, or online at epicaudiovideo.com.
Sometimes we just gotta take a moment.
That's what we gotta do.
Take that deep breath.
Take a breath and relax. I'm very relaxed.
And say, damn, we're living our best life.
Yes.
From the MLB.
Deep left center field. This one's got a chance. Gone.
To the NFL.
Touchdown. 83 yards.
To the NBA. We're all laughing and just living and loving.
I'd never have seen that commercial in my life, and that is the greatest single thing I have ever seen. Oh, my goodness.
Nationwide. Your local Towboat U.S. companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake-O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all year. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat U.S., you're never stuck on the water.
Yeah, went and picked the kids up from Christie's yesterday.
Boaters Landing is the largest Key West boat dealer. Visit Boaters Landing to check out the Key West quality, comfort, and unsinkable design. And take advantage of Yamaha's Reliable Choice sales event. Now you can get 5 years of warranty protection on all eligible.
She does, I mean, you know, like she said, she was, I think
Boaters
you're right.
Landing. But you better hurry. It's ending
No.
soon. Boaters Landing, delivering the dream for over 30 years.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida.
But they've already got the whole, they're already ready. And I'll do that kind of joke about it.
Here's what's trending now.
I told the girls, y'all had fun today over here. I said, tomorrow we have reading at 9, math at 9:30, and these 3 girls are looking at me like, what in the fuck are you talking about? But she did say she was by next week.
Got your caller.
It'll be up online.
Thank you.
Whole curriculum will be online by next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jacob was laughing. He's talking about going online, and he said He goes, what's interesting is a couple of professors I have really struggle with technology. He goes, I really want to see him doing these online classes. You, your friends, and your Johnson.
Oh, wow.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
Do you know you can clean your own car?
And Moulton.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The things we're going to learn.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like it. It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live. Hour number 2 of what's already a lively Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, I know.
This is really, I didn't even think about it. It didn't even dawn on me today with St. Patrick's Day, and I have the corned beef in the fridge ready to get going here shortly.
Pat does not need a party holiday like St. Patrick's Day to be in the mood, because let's face it, he talks football for a living. He's always in the party mood. Pat from NFL Radio, moving the chains weekday afternoons and CBS's NFL Today show. He joins us throughout the NFL year, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, how are you on this Tuesday morning?
I'm doing fine, and the action in free agency is exhausting. I've already been up since 4:30 just trying to catch up with what happened in the overnight. So in typical fashion, there'll be a fast rush, and there's a lot of 3-year deals. People have been asking me and texting me why 3-year deals, and I said, well, we'll just start with Kirk Cousins getting a 3, which then took another hit, which everyone knew was going to have to happen, and then 66 more. So it turns into 5 for 150, basically all guaranteed. So that's one reason. The other reason is the new TV deal. The agents are expecting some kind of gigantic explosion. We'll see about that. I think it'll happen. And then I think some clubs are okay with 3 if they're, guys like Randall Cobb that are in their 30s and Addison looks like he's going to Buffalo, those kind of deals. But it is a little different to have a lot of 3-year deals. I mean, you used to have to spread a lot of bonus out. But I do think a lot of clubs have so much cap space. I think the average team is at 40-some-odd million, and they kind of want to eat up as much cap space. In a 3-year deal, you're taking a bigger cap hit, and I think that's good for the clubs who want to absorb as much of it as they can and not get stuck having to hand money out later in the year.
Well, Pat, one thing is for certain, David Moulton's league is coming to him because there were a lot of trades yesterday. We just had Sean Salisbury on about 30 minutes ago to discuss the Houston trade, but I want to hear it from you, Pat, because you talked to Bill O'Brien a lot. He is the grand poobah. David said when we texted yesterday, he thought it was the worst trade he can remember in NFL history. I had a buddy of mine from a fantasy league text me and said, you would have vetoed this trade in a fantasy league. It's that bad. Just your thoughts on the Hopkins-Johnson trade, because the Texans are getting eaten alive for this one.
Yeah, I can't defend this trade. And as much as I like Bill and have known him forever, it's really now. So why do you do things like this? It could be friction all the time at practice and in games, and he's tired of looking at it. That's the old Ron Wolf theory. If you're tired of looking at a guy, just get rid of him. Now, I hope it's not that. Then, of course, it could be, this is a young kid when he was younger, had some issues. Maybe they believe there's other issues going on with him. I don't think so. I mean, he is the most go-to guy. I wish I was working for Bill so I could have stopped him at the door and not let him pick up the phone. So I don't like the deal one bit, and I support David's opinion on the thing. I will say this about Bill O'Brien. He doesn't really care if everyone's bashing him. That's not how he operates. But don't like it. And David Johnson, I think, was just going to come free sooner or later. So to me, that was just picking up a big contract that they didn't want anymore out there in Arizona. I couldn't justify this deal.
Well, and Pat, the thing that surprised me the most is there had to be 25 teams minimum who, when they heard about this deal, reached out to, Bill and went, wait a minute, hold on, we'll give you more. Wait, what? I mean, that to me is even more shocking. I mean, I joked if he had sent out a mass email yesterday morning and said, I'm going to trade DeAndre Hopkins by noon, send me your best offer, I think he would have gotten, at the very least, what Buffalo gave up for Diggs. I mean, at the minimum, he would have gotten that. That to me is even more shocking than what went down. Is that, I mean, did he talk to anybody? Did he literally start in his Rolodex, and after Atlanta, he called Arizona, and that was it?
No, he's got a lot of friends in the league, and obviously he's from the Belichick tree, and Vrabel worked for him. He knows Matt Patricia for a long time. He knows the guys down in Miami. He obviously knows the Patriot guys. And to your point, we've already seen 2 first-round picks get traded away yesterday. So I'm with you on that, too. One, he probably didn't want him in the AFC anymore. 2, we have to believe that no one really did offer that to him. Because if you want to paint the picture that Bill didn't do anything but say to the Cardinals, take him, I'm sure that didn't happen. But is there something out there that's going to come out that we're going to have to say, well, now I understand it? That's the only thing I can say. And that's not to justify the trade. It's just I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop here because it has to be something else. It's that clearly a shaky deal. So we'll see if something comes out. But let me just say this. There aren't many secrets in the NFL. And Bill's circle of close friends, he's very close to the Jacksonville people. Been that way with the head coach from there for a long time. So I can name 6 teams where he's friends with them. I mean, literal friends, nothing to do with football. I am sure he gave his friends a chance if they were interested. Maybe he, to them, and this is why it's interesting to me in that sense, this kid did not go off to one of his old buddies. And that might say something louder than anything else when we finally figure out the whole reason why. And I am waiting for something else to happen. And we may not hear about it for a long time since the teams are basically in the dark for a while.
Well, I will say this. They couldn't do anything with Jacksonville because I don't think Jacksonville has any defensive players left to trade to Houston to get rid of. A team that loves to win the offseason, Pat. I mean, they are good at it. They did it last year. It was incredible, and it worked out really well for the Cleveland Browns because we all know how good their season was. But they come out of the gate swinging again. They get Conklin. They get Hooper. The Conklin signing, I'm just curious of your thoughts on that, Pat, because I know he's a young tackle, but he's been injured a lot. Their line was bad. They needed help. I like them going to get the tackle. Not sure why they needed the tight end because I thought their tight end was okay. Just your thoughts on what the Browns did, and does this, in your opinion, even make them better, or is this just another let's win in the offseason?
You never know with those guys. I don't know where do all the analytics and the baseball theories of D. Podesta go when they're throwing that kind of money at the tight end. A couple things. I think I'll address them one at a time. The tight end, to me, is they want to be a 12-personnel team. They want to play with 2 tight ends on the field. I think that's part of where this is going and why they like to be in that and balance up their sets. They've got 3 nice wide receivers, so they're not going to be there all the time. That's the first one. The tight end they have is a guy that I think is fairly inconsistent catching the ball, and they might be looking to move him in the next 2 or 3 days. Now they got Hoops in there. The quarterback they picked up, that's easy to see, Case Keenum. Kevin was coaching the quarterbacks in Minnesota when they went to the championship game, and Case Keenum. So to get him for $18 million over 3, that's a no-brainer. The tackle, here's where it gets a little cloudy for me. He played right tackle in Tennessee. He was a left tackle in college. They don't have a left tackle. It's one of two things. They're either moving him to left tackle, which my rule in free agency is always don't ever do anything with a guy from free agency that he wasn't doing on film in pro football before you got him. So that's shaky. Or they move him to right tackle and trading their right tackle and still drafting a left tackle. That would make a lot of sense to me. But no sooner did that announcement come than I got on the air and said, Tennessee needs to get Kelly back. And they got Kelly back, not because of me. They got Kelly back about a half hour later, which tells me they made a decision a long time ago. We're not going to pay Conklin for the reasons you stated, Mark. We like Kelly. He's the backup who played every time Conklin was hurt. He played pretty well. He's much cheaper. And maybe we'll address right tackle in the draft and a guy that wouldn't have to go on the field right away. So the Kelly thing tells me they made a decision to pay Kelly long before they decided to, they didn't even fight for Conklin. So that's why.
All right, the 2 first-round picks that got dealt, Indianapolis and San Francisco make a straight deal. DeForest Buckner to the Colts. They're going to rework his deal, make him one of the highest-paid linemen in the league in all likelihood. And the Niners pick up the 13th pick in this draft. Then Diggs goes from the Vikings to the Bills for 4 draft picks, a 1, a 5, and a 6 this year, and a 4th next year. Your thoughts on the 2 deals involving first-round picks?
Well, first in the top one, now that San Francisco and Indy have made the deal. So what did Indy come to the realization of? There's only 2 tackles we like in the draft, Brown and Kinlaw. They'll be gone before we go, and we don't want to settle for the 3rd best tackle in the draft. That'd be how I see them. And I think, DeForest is a tremendous player on a team now that last year during the season when we spoke, it was like, oh man, Indianapolis, they're really fast on defense, but they're not stout up front. So now they're addressing their need, and I don't think the draft was going to meet them in the right place. And they would probably have to trade up to get to a Brown or Kinlaw. So that's their logic. The other logic, San Francisco, there's a budget actually. People don't believe this, but you can't spend basically $40 million on your 2 tackles. And so they realized they couldn't keep both guys. And to get a first-round pick, they don't need Kinlaw or Brown. They can do a lot of different things from that position. And they might go pick up a middle-of-the-road defensive lineman to fill out their roster. Or they might take one of the guys that they don't mind taking because he doesn't have to be the feature player. Down below, Minnesota gives up their receiver who's, a malcontent guy. And was probably going to be even worse when the season came around. But look where they sit right now. With this receiver class, they're going to get, if they want, a receiver. And it may not be the first round, but they could easily get one right where they're sitting. Just Jim and I went through the exercise of a little mock draft the other day just to get a sense of value. And you know what was amazing about it? Right where Minnesota sits right now is where C.D. Lamb went. And so I think guys like Higgins, C.D. Lamb, and others will be available to them. So they're going to get a brand new rookie wage scale wide receiver, and then they got all those other picks. Plus, they really now can parlay themselves if they want to do other things here because they pick again at 25. Are they crazy enough to take the 2 they have now and go up? This is right up David's alley. Yeah, they could, but I think they could sit right where they are and get a really good receiver and replace Diggs.
Well, and I think now the Niners at 13 are going to take one of the first receivers off the board. I mean, that's the other thing, that if you look at what's missing in San Francisco, they probably could use one more weapon for
speed.
Jimmy, to go with.
Because you got Sweeney, who was great.
Right, and the wide receiver there, they got the great tight end.
And
they got
Sanders is a free agent.
So, I expect the Niners now at 13 to take one of the best wide receivers in the draft, and who knows, maybe even the first or no worse than the second receiver off the board. The Dolphins spent some money yesterday. I got to admit, 2 of the signings I don't like, 2 of the signings I'm okay with. Byron Jones for $17.5 per for 5. Shaq Lawson, 3 for 30. Eric Flowers, 3 for 30. That's mind-boggling. Kyle Van Noy, 4 for 51. Your thoughts on the Dolphins?
Well, Van Noy is right from the same tree. They all know what he can do. The guy who's coaching the Dolphins coached him, knew the versatility. That's easy to see. The Flowers one is hard for you as a Giant fan, me, the observer of quality football. Not a big fan of that deal in one way, shape, or another. Now, the other ones, it's the irony of doing the Byron Jones deal. This is right to you, Mark. This is a team that couldn't figure out how to use Minkah Fitzpatrick. So they go out and sign a guy that's corner/safety. They'll probably make him a linebacker. Who knows? No, it's okay. But here's what I'm going to do, and I think you guys will do the same thing. I'll take all these guys that they're signing, and right across from now, I'm going to put the name of the guy they gave up to get these guys. So right across from Byron Jones will be Minkah Fitzpatrick. Who won that one? Miami or Pittsburgh?
Well,
I don't think this. I like Byron, but he's not Minkah Fitzpatrick.
No, he's not. I mean, the Dolphins did get a first-rounder out of it, but yes, Minkah's the better player.
Right. So part of the great experiment in Miami is to replace talent for talent. And so you take the next one, Shaq Lawson. Go look at his production. Tell me Robert Quinn wasn't better than him. Go look at the numbers. So when you and I'm going to do it at the end when they have all the guys that they have brought in via the draft and free agency, and I'll put them right up against the Tunstals of the world. How about Kenyon Drake? He gets transition tagged.
I know.
Come on, please. So just it's never about one person or one pick. It's all those things they did on one side of the column and all the things they're doing on the other side, and say, just ask one question of yourselves. And we'll ask it at the end of this whole process. Did they get better? Right now, I don't think they're getting better.
And I think the other thing that we see, Pat, all the time is the lessons that teams learned. And you look at the Ravens getting more stout. They make one trade, and then they sign Brockers. You look at the Eagles, and I don't know if it makes, I don't know if it's necessarily a loss, but they go get the Hargrove there from Pittsburgh. I mean, a couple of teams made it very apparent. And, Pat, you talked about this a lot last year, is these quicker, lighter defensive teams were getting run on, and it looks as if some teams took notice of that and said, we're damn sure going to make sure the middle of our defensive line is stout enough to handle the run when the games come December and into January.
I think it started with Seattle a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, when they said, the hell with it, we're going to run the ball 35 times a game. Who followed suit on that? The Colts followed suit, Texans followed suit, and then you had this 49er phenomenon. They'll run the ball all day. And then you have to start asking yourself, are we built to get to and win a Super Bowl with this new emphasis on running at these undersized defenses? So I do think guys are trying to get stout inside and be able to handle it better than they did. You were inviting teams to become really good at running against these little defenses. And I think a lot of guys figured, you know what, we've been getting away with this too long. It's time we get bigger, not completely massive and slow, but enough people inside that we can be legit, at least bounce the run outside. You don't want it running up in the A and B gap and just chunking it to 6 yards every time they want to. So I think there is a trend in that direction, and I do think that some of those guys all of a sudden became very expensive. So we'll see. And again, back to the draft. This is all married to the draft, and people have to get a grip on that. The guys aren't sure exactly where this draft is headed, but they pretty much have an idea because their college scouting director is in that room now saying to them, okay, there's quality depth at receiver. There are 3 first-round draft pick quarterbacks. There's only 2 first-round draft pick defensive tackles. After that, you're reaching. So those briefings become part of what motivates you to do these other things in free agency. It always would have been interesting. David probably loved this. If free agency was after the draft, that would be interesting because that would really give the clubs all the control they want. They would, because the draft's speculative and free agency is not. So if you got through the draft first and then had free agency, guys would feel like they'd make less mistakes.
Very quickly, what are the Bears doing? I don't know, Jim. How much Jimmy Graham? What?
replacing Trubisky.
Well, yeah. I mean, they haven't made it official with Bridgewater yet, but obviously Bridgewater's not somebody to come in and compete for the job. He ain't signing with one of those teams. He's signing where he's being handed the job. But Jimmy Graham now is the 9th guy on the roster who has played tight end. And, I mean, if the Packers are giving up on Jimmy Graham at 33, I mean, I just don't get what they're doing.
Well, so Jimmy Miller, who's been with the Bears a long time, doing their pre- and post-game shows at practice, et cetera, he made a comment the other day that Jimmy Graham's better than anyone they got. Whether you like Jimmy or not, he's better than anyone Chicago has. Trey Burton's got issues, and he hasn't been the guy that they thought they were getting out of Philadelphia. So for the time being, and the draft is weak at tight end. Okay, there's another briefing message. There are no first-round draft pick tight ends. Okay, we just got to get better than Trey Burton. Can we get better than Trey Burton for the moment? Yeah, we can. All right, we'll just sign Jimmy. We'll figure it out after that. I'm not a big fan of Jimmy, but if you go back to his Seattle days in the red zone, he was kind of a touchdown machine. But in relative terms, they don't have anybody like that. So I don't have a problem with that. In regards to the quarterback thing, I did have a chance to talk to some guys from the Bears. I think if they could get their hands on Andy Dalton, that would be the one they want. I think the cat's out now, right? So there was speculative as recently as a month ago, what are they going to do? They're going to bring in competition. Well, I think that after that got out and there was no pushback from anywhere, the fans, the media, the ownership, then I think they said, well, why don't we upgrade and tell them the truth? Why don't we go tell them we're going to go get a guy to be the quarterback here? And, this could have long-term ramifications on the GM and head coach, especially the GM. And I like the guy a lot. But I made these kind of mistakes, and you find yourself walking out the door. So that could happen to him over this. They won't do anything now. It's kind of like save our season, get our fans back in the right mood. But I won't ever forget that you moved up to draft that guy, and you left Deshaun Watson and Mahomes on the board. That scar doesn't go away.
One of the 5 starts that Teddy Bridgewater had this year for the Saints was in Chicago against the Bears, and the Saints played one of their most efficient games of the year. Teddy Bridgewater was solid, not spectacular, but they manhandled the Bears behind Teddy Bridgewater. And you just wonder, Pat, if afternoons like that are just sitting with the GM and coach of the Bears right now.
Well, at least they're men enough to make the decision, we got to do something different. This is not going anywhere. And I think that if you studied the Bears last year, they tried like crazy to come up with offenses that would work for this kid, and it's not happening. So they're moving on. Bill Lazor's there now. Bill Lazor coached Andy Dalton. I like the Teddy Bridgewater thing, but here's a question to you, Dave. Are we working off the new Case Keenum deal, or you think he's worthy of working off the Ryan Tannehill deal?
Oh, come on now. Come on now. Take a deep breath. Just come on.
Pat, has a quarterback ever been paid so much for handing a ball off so well?
It's all about winning, and the kid they had before him wasn't winning. So when he came in and functioned pretty well, they were never outside of Brady. So that one's easy to see. But if I'm the agent for Teddy, does Teddy really have the credentials to get the Tannehill deal?
No.
Or is he somewhere right north of the Case Keenum deal? Oh, by the way, Case Keenum did go to a championship game. What's Teddy ever done? I'm just going to play the other side of the coin here. He could be a hard sign. This is what I'm talking about. It's the money you have to pay Teddy Bridgewater for limited duty over the last, basically since he left Minnesota, limited duty. It'd be interesting to see where that deal goes in. Now, if you want Chicago to go berserk, go give Teddy $100 million.
Well, then they should go berserk. They'd still have to get behind
You
Bill
pay
O'Brien,
him that
though.
much?
No. I think Teddy Bridgewater's 3 years, $51 million. That's what I think Teddy Bridgewater is.
That's great. That's perfect. Under $20 million a year.
Yep. He's Pat Kerwin, CBS's NFL Today show. You can listen to him and Jim Miller. They do Moving the Chains weekday afternoons 3 to 7 on NFL Radio. And Pat joins us throughout the year, courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West and many points in between, Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, try to get a nap in before 3 o'clock. You got a lot to discuss.
And they probably signed 3 guys since I got on with you guys.
Good chance of that, Pat. And by the way, we did this entire interview not mentioning a quarterback that plays in New England.
Yeah.
That was for you.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. You know, I have is what it's up to now. We're allowed 1 5-minute segment per day on Tom Brady. Hey, let me ask you a question before you let me go. If the Patriots traded for Hopkins, do you think Brady would have wanted to come back?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I think he'd sign a Teddy Bridgewater deal to come back.
Yeah. I wonder if they want him back. And if they don't, there's a discussion for the next time we meet. Who are they going after? Because it ain't Stidham. What are they doing if Brady's not coming back?
Well, I think it may be the guy in Cincinnati.
They got to trade for him.
Yeah, they'll give up a second-round pick. He's got 2 of them, I think. All right, I'm telling you. Or he'll trade out of the first round and get a couple and then give them to him. And plus, he got all those supplemental picks.
GM, David, you were the GM candidate of this show, and now you're the commissioner candidate. You've come a long way.
Well, Pat, it's getting lectured by you for 10, 15 years. You know, it's growth, Pat. It's growth.
Mark, have a great day with
Thanks, Pat. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Pat Kerwin moving up his slot on this day. A very busy Tuesday. You know, officially, we don't have free agency yet. It's not till tomorrow afternoon.
Whatever.
It's just the talking period. That's all. Roy Cummings to talk about whether or not TB12's going to Tampa and whether or not they said goodbye to Jameis for good yesterday. Chris Perkins at the top of the hour to talk about the Dolphins and the 4 free agent signings. And are they also in the TB12 sweepstakes? News out of Boston last night said they are. So Roy Cummings and Chris Perkins to join us coming up on Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
All right, so the Clippers won last night. They beat a bad team, but they are now officially 9-0. All
right.
When they're healthy.
Cannot be running
you get to a point in the NBA in the second half, it's check boxes time. Size check, experience check, championship winning coach check. It's the best team in the league.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
This is Mark Miller for Tim Tracing Motors, and I'm with Wes Dobbins, a very satisfied Tim Tracing Motors customer.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 20 years, my family and I have purchased at least 17 vehicles from Tim Tracing Motors. Everything from Beamers to town cars to Cadillacs to cars for our kids to the Toyota Avalon and Highlander that we currently own. We've always been impressed by the thoughtful, straightforward way that Tim and Matt do business. We especially appreciate that they're so picky about the quality of cars that they bring to the market. They have always stood behind their cars, and that's why we'll continue to be loyal Tim Tracek Motors customers.
Well, there you have it. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900. At Tim Tracek Motors, they are confident when you meet them, you'll agree that you've never been to a dealership like theirs before. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900.
Today is Election Day, and the last opportunity to make your voice heard in the presidential preference primary. Voters must vote in their assigned precinct and are encouraged to bring their completed sample ballot with them to use as a guide when voting at the polls. Precinct information, sample ballots, and ID requirements can all be found on the Collier County Supervisor of Elections website, colliervotes.com. Be election ready and make your voice heard.
This is Lois Tomey from Wink News. Every day we feel a profound sense of responsibility to keep you informed on what's going on in your community. You can define your community as your neighborhood, your country, your world. Now more than ever, facts, not fears, are essential requirements so you can feel and be safe. I feel like we've been preparing for this assignment for years. Earning your trust, newscast by newscast. We cherish that trust and intend to keep earning it.
I'm a busy person. Catch the show anytime. Check out MillerandMoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcasts.
Welcome to the Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Are you a first-time shooter with a lot of questions and need training? The Alamo Gun Range of Naples is here for you. With our clean, comfortable, and relaxing atmosphere and a staff that's certified and trained to provide you with the answers and training you need to get started, you'll feel right at home. The Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Naples' premier indoor gun range and firearms superstore. AlamoRange.com.
Out here, you need to control your environment, or it may control you. You need the
Got
Kubota
your caller.
L2501 HST compact tractor. It comes with all the easy-to-use implements you need. Get the L2501 HST for as low as $149 a month with 0% APR financing for 84 months, plus a 6-year limited powertrain warranty. Now through February 29th, 2020. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
This is Brian Creel from Creel Tractor. Visit us online at CreelTractor.com. Creel Tractor since 1972.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Almost every 2020 Jeep Wrangler at Friends and Family below invoice pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. That's right. New Jeep Wranglers below invoice, as low as $299 per month. Plus, it's Ram Truck Month. Crazy low prices on every truck and SUV. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams in stock. 2020 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab lease, $299 per month. New Challenger SXT lease, $225 per month. And exclusive of that offer, Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade in any condition, running or not. New Ram Crew Cabs, $299 per month. New Jeep Wranglers below invoice at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. Wrangler Rubicon models excluded. 42-month leases, 10,000 miles per year, $29.99 due at signing plus tax, dealer and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit with lender approval, minimum trade toward the purchase of select new vehicles. Offers don't combine.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Past the midway point of Miller and Moulton on this St. Patrick's Day. Maybe the worst one ever. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Roy Cummings is kind enough to join us once again, a Bucks insider for PewterPirates.com. Also, WDAE is where he provides his insights in Tampa. You can follow Roy on Twitter at RCummingsFHCN. Roy, how are you?
Keeping my distance, gentlemen. Keeping my distance.
Well, that's why
I'm doing great.
That's why we're here, and you are there. Listen, I'm going to go hard overhand right to start the show. Did the Bucks officially say goodbye to Jameis yesterday?
I don't know that happened. Again, there's a game of musical chairs being played. The music has just started. And at some point, that music's going to stop, and we've got to see where people land. I think the Bucs have 2 targets ahead of Jameis Winston, and that's obviously Brady and maybe Teddy Bridgewater. I'm still a little unsure about that because I don't think that's an upgrade. But you've got to wait and see where things fall. I think the Bucs have decided to let Jameis Winston go test the market, see what he's worth, and at the end of the day, he can always come back to him and say, all right, you know what? I've been humbled a little bit. There's not much out there for me in terms of a starting job. There's not much out there in terms of the money I was thinking I could make. I'm going to have to be a backup to Ben Roethlisberger or something like that. Not a bad option, but not what I want. I'll come back. So I don't think it's over. Look, I still think Tom Brady ends up in New England. I may be wrong. New England has not treated him well. Bill Belichick, I think, is sort of kind of embracing the idea of trying to win without him. But you know what? They've got to find a quarterback, too. And I'm not sure that there's a great option out there for them unless their plan is to bring in Teddy Bridgewater. So you look at that's the one thing nobody's talked about it much really is, okay, let's say the Patriots give up on Tom Brady and let him move. Well, who are they going to have at quarterback? Andy Dalton? Does that sound like an upgrade to you on Tom Brady? It doesn't to me. So let's see where this goes over the next 48 hours.
All right, let's just go with the dream scenario for Bucs fans and Bucs ownership and Bucs reporters and anybody who has to watch Fox television on this side of the state of Florida on Sundays. And they get Tampa Bay. I mean, because we're all it's Tom Brady. We get it. The positives are unbelievable. Not to mention a team that hasn't sold any tickets in the past 5, 6, 8 years. Now just sold out all 8 games. We get it. I get all the positives, and I'm for all the positives. Roy, are they the best team in the division the moment they get Tom Brady?
No, they're not. They're still, at best, they're the second best team, and I'm not sure I'd put them there. Look, I like what the Bucs have done in the last couple of years. They hit the jackpot, it seems, with Shaq Barrett. Got to make sure that's not a one-year wonder. They just re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul at an advanced age. Look, general managers have told me repeatedly through the years I've covered the NFL, the best thing you can do as a general manager is predict when a guy's going to hit the wall. I think the Bucs are playing as if that wall doesn't even exist for JPP at this point, and it might. I'm not saying that he's going to have a bad year, but you know what? He and Ndamukong Suh are two guys that could easily struggle, and that's not even the biggest concern. I would expect those guys to play at a high level. But the offensive line, there's a lot of money involved there. You've got to find a new right tackle, if not a new left tackle as well. Maybe a move of left tackle Donovan Smith to the right side. You probably need to upgrade at one of the guard positions. Your running game has to be better. Your secondary has to continue to advance the way it appeared to advance late in the season last year. The play calling has to be better. Look, I think the Bucs could have easily won 10 games last year, but they didn't have the protection for the quarterback. They didn't have the protection for the running backs. They didn't have the secondary. They didn't have the takeaways. They didn't have a lot of things. The play calling that leads you to 10 wins. So they are not. The Saints are still the best team. I was surprised at what happened in Atlanta last year. I can see them getting a little bit better. And if Cam Newton's healthy in Carolina, I can see them being a bit of a force too. So to me, they are not automatically, not just because of the quarterback at all, because, look, I like Tom Brady. I think he's a hell of a quarterback, but we saw evidence last year that Tom Brady has hit the wall, and that's not a good sign if I'm the Buccaneers.
Roy, do you think, though, that the room needs him? Because do you think the room believes in basically the alternatives, from Jameis through, you name it, Dalton, Bridgewater? I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that even though the odds are it will not work big, that if the Bucs are going to have their best chance in 2020 and or 2021, which is probably it for Bruce Arians, that they need him. That this is their best shot short term. Probably not smartest thing to do in a 5-year plan, but probably the absolute best thing they could do in a 2-year plan.
Yeah, and I think that's the thinking inside in the meeting rooms at One Buck Place. Bruce Arians is here for the short term. He wants to win now. The Glazers are tired of losing. They pull these grandstand moves every once in a while. They did it with John Gruden. They did it with Keyshawn Johnson. They will sacrifice the future to win now, to win one big one now. It's something the boys, as we call them here in Tampa, Brian and Joel, and I guess Ed is involved now, and Darcy a little bit, but when Malcolm was in charge and Rich McKay was the head of this thing, Rich McKay, effectively convinced Malcolm Glazer, that the best way to run a football team is to build a team that is in the mix every year. They're always in the running for a playoff spot, kind of like the Houston Texans. I don't like where they've gone. They've won some divisions, but they're always in the playoff hunt, right? Granted, it's a weak division, but still, that's what his theory was. Cole and Brian and now Ed and Darcy have a different philosophy. And by the way, what I meant was Malcolm embraced that. Malcolm wanted a team that was in the mix every year, was always going to be somebody that had to be feared, was always, a win or two away from at least being if not being a playoff team, being a championship caliber team. So the boys, kind of go for these home runs. As I said, John Gruden, Malcolm Glazer, go on down the list. They tried to get Brett Favre at one point. And these things tend to set you back. And so if you go for Tom Brady, it's going to be exciting here if we ever get, to off-season workouts and if we ever get to training camp and the rest of it, which, by the way, I would start factoring into some of my decisions in free agency, but that's another story. It's going to be exciting. The spotlight is going to be on the Buccaneers more than when they were on Hard Knocks if Tom Brady is here. Everybody's going to want to see what happens here. And then the reality is going to set in. And Tom Brady's going to sit behind an offensive line that allowed Jameis Winston, a pretty mobile quarterback, to get hit about 100 times last year. And in an offense that, in essence, inherits the quarterback to get hit a bunch because you're not throwing 5 yards, 6 yards down the field. Your targets are 15 and 18 yards down the field. And we're going to have to then see how sturdy is Tom Brady? How good is the running game? Can the defense put him in a decent position for a change? Yeah, you'll take away the fact that your quarterback's giving the ball away twice a game, but how much better will you be? That remains to be seen, and I'm not so sure it's going to be special.
All right. That being said, who are the targets that the Bucs should be going after right now from a free agent? Leave Tom out of it. Who should they be going after? Conklin's gone. Are there other linemen? Where do you see the remainder of this free agency going for the Bucs, regardless of who they get to play quarterback?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about free agency. I think you get better value in free agency when you find guys who are in their mid-20s but haven't had their chance yet. Shaq Barrett, for example. That's the kind of guy I'd be going after. I'd be looking, and I wish I could give you a name right now. I can't. That's weak, but I can't. But I'd be looking at something that is cheap but has upside. And
I'll give you a signing.
Develop the player.
I'll give you a signing from yesterday along those lines. This guy was the backup linebacker for the Bears for the last 3 years. He was the rotational linebacker, Nick Kwiatkowski. All right. The Raiders signed him yesterday, 3 years, $21 million. He's like 26, 27 years old. That's who you're talking about.
That is, it's exactly who I'm talking about. And again, the thinking there is, look, the Bucs are trying to hit a home run here. You know what happens when we try to hit a home run? We usually swing and miss.
Like most of baseball, Roy.
What's that?
Like most of baseball. That's what we do in baseball. We swing and miss.
Right. I mean, you can change the launch angle, but when you try,
touche.
Home runs are hit when the ball is when you get a good swing on a ball and just meet it right. And I just think the Bucs are trying too hard here to make something happen that they may not be ready for. You see what happened last year. You won 7 games with, a quarterback who turned the ball over 33 times. That makes you think that, hey, you know what? A better throw here and a better throw there, and we're a 10-win team, we're in the playoffs. Yeah, you could say that. But you know what? There's one quarterback who threw for 5,000 yards last year. There was one quarterback who threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns last year. And now all of a sudden we think that guy's not good enough anymore. So I think the quarterback play is going to be a wash. No matter who you bring in, what's going to happen is you're going to have fewer interceptions, perhaps far fewer interceptions. But you're also going to have fewer touchdowns and probably fewer yards. And there's going to be a big adjustment period. and we'll see how it goes. But whether it's Teddy Bridgewater or Tom Brady or whoever's left at the end of the, at the bottom of the pile, there's going to be an adjustment period. And I don't know that the way the season is starting to shape up, look, baseball's not planning to be back until May. By that time, most NFL teams have had a couple of mini camps. If the NFL's forced to do the same thing, you could have a real problem in terms of chemistry and, that kind of interactive development. So we'll see what happens.
Roy, I don't know if baseball is going to be back by July 4th, but I know what you're saying. A guy, by the way, who's going to become available here soon could be somebody to pick up on the back end short term for the Buccaneers. Brian Bulaga is likely going to be let go by Green Bay. He only turns 31 at the end of this week. He's been banged up a little bit, but just throwing that out there. If you can get him healthy to start a season, that might not be a bad short-term guy to plug in on the line. Roy, as always, we appreciate it. Stay safe, will you, for you and your family, and hopefully we'll talk again soon and all will be well.
You do the same, guys, and to all the listeners, do the same thing. It's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
He's Roy Cummings. He's a Bucs insider for PewterPirates.com. He also can be heard regularly talking Bucs on WDAE in Tampa. You can follow Roy on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Roy Cummings, friend of the show for a very long time. I believe this is a new signing. Blake Martinez, I didn't see that late yesterday with the Giants, 3 years, $30 million. I thought that happened this morning. If I'm mistaken, my bad. But we were frantically going through before the show all the free agent moves, and I did not see Packers linebacker Blake Martinez sign elsewhere yesterday. But we're watching NFL Network right now live, and they said Blake Martinez, 3 years, $30 million to the Giants.
And I didn't have that. I mean, you and I look at separate lists for this, so I didn't have it either. But it is going fast and furious here. Thank goodness for the National Football League, David.
No question about it.
I mean, I really and truly.
Gives us a sense of normalcy, at least for a few days.
No, this was actually yesterday.
Was it?
Yep.
Okay.
Now that I'm going through, I just missed it.
Gotcha. Well, I did too, so there you have it. Another loss for the Packers, a productive linebacker the last couple years. Chris Perkins will talk Dolphins from The Athletic coming up in about 15 minutes' time. When we come back, today was the day when, here on Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
If we really want to use the word valuable, Giannis is the best player on the best team. The best player is probably Giannis. The best player doesn't always win the MVP. LeBron's been the best player before. Hasn't been the most valuable. This year, LeBron, probably not the best player, but has brought a substantial amount of value to this team.
Doug Gottlieb, afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Teresa O'Shea with Wink News. This morning, 5 more tests came back positive for coronavirus. That brings Florida's total to 160. One person has died in Orange County. Right now, Broward and Miami-Dade counties have the most positive cases. With Florida's primary still on today, the president is urging voters to avoid groups of 10 or more. Polling locations across Southwest Florida are taking extra precautions to stay clean. Governor DeSantis is expected to make a decision on closing or limiting capacity at bars and restaurants today. It could be August before the virus is under control. More restrictions could come at any time today. On the stock market, future trading is up after the worst day in 30 years. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News. Facts, not fear.
Are you a music and technology lover? Indulge your senses with a visit to the best audio, video, and technology showroom in Southwest Florida. Epic Audio Video, located at the southwest corner of Pine Ridge Road in US 41, specializing in home audio, theater, and automation systems from top manufacturers such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Sonos, Hunter Douglas, Bowers & Wilkins, and others. Visit their showroom for a hands-on experience and speak to one of the technology specialists today. EpicAudioVideo.com.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors. My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
If you've been denied Social Security benefits, here's something you need to know. The law firm you choose makes a big difference. In fact, Morgan & Morgan wins more than the national average in recovering Social Security for clients that were denied. That means that when you hire our lawyers, you have a better chance of recovering than with the average lawyer. And that's a really big deal. If you were denied Social Security benefits, call us. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Dial Pound Law on your cell. Pound Law, that's all. Offices, Fort Myers and Naples.
Contact Miller and Moulton anytime. Call me Daddy. Save the Williamson Brothers Marine text and talk line to your contacts.
Who's got it better than us?
239-249-8167.
We are Buck Force.
Welcome to the Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Are you a first-time shooter with a lot of questions and need training? The Alamo Gun Range of Naples is here for you. With our clean, comfortable, and relaxing atmosphere and a staff that's certified and trained to provide you with the answers and training you need to get started, you'll feel right at home. The Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Naples' premier indoor gun range and firearms superstore. AlamoRange.com.
Have you or someone you know been taken advantage of or preyed upon by storm chasers who are out of the area contractors? Well, you're not alone. Hi, this is PJ, owner of Estate Roofing. With over 20 years of experience, I'm committed to quality products with outstanding service. I personally visit all the job sites, making sure every customer gets high-quality work done on time. Shingle, tile, or metal, we do it all. We're an Owens Corning preferred contractor with an impeccable track record. We understand the value of educating customers so you know what you're buying every step of the way. Having issues with getting your insurance claims paid? We'll help you manage your insurance companies to get you paid or help you with financing if needed. Call me today to get a free 20-watt solar attic fan with your new roof. Call me at 692-9732. That's 692-9732. Or visit us online at estateroofing.com. That's ESTATE roofing.com. Estate Roofing. Roofing redefined.
The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
We've got Melissa on the line.
Hey, Happy. My kids have baseball practice on Saturday mornings, but it's my only day to sleep in.
Well, break it to them early that they're not going to make the majors.
But I don't want to crush their dreams.
That's fair. Then why don't you swing by Hardee's on the way and get the new BFC Frisco breakfast sandwich with a crispy wheel of cheese inside so everyone's morning can be super.
Okay.
Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your Happy. The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
Eric, you're on with Happy.
Hey, Happy, I'm applying for a mortgage and I'm debating a 15-year or a 30-year rate.
Right now,
forget about the property ladder. Get on the burger ladder.
What?
The new BFC Angus Thick Burger from Hardee's has a crispy wheel of cheese on top.
It sounds silly, but I've got that house rented in August, which I think will be fine by then. But it's like, hey,
exactly. Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your Happy.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton.
Ruin me again.
It's Miller and Moulton.
You're live. Chris Perkins of The Athletic to talk Dolphins coming up after the top of the hour. Our poll question's Tom Brady. Where do you think he's going to play? Patriots, Chargers, Bucks, or Dolphins? Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or millerandmoulton.com and vote.
But now it is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
I think David gave me the sign for 2.5 minutes, but I also thought I was supposed to steal third. I'm not exactly sure which one it was supposed to be.
It's a hit and run in 3.5 minutes. Go.
Thank you. Albert Einstein, 1905, finishes his paper detailing the quantum theory of light, one of the foundations of modern physics. But more importantly, David, in 1908, Tommy Burns KOs Jem Roca at 88 seconds, which is the quickest world heavyweight title fight at the time.
Well, remember, they used to fight like 50 rounds.
Right. 1958, the first greatest hits compilation is released. Want to take a stab at who it was for?
Bing Crosby.
It's a great guess, Johnny Mathis. I like your guess. That's very good. I thought you were going to go Elvis, but that would have been way too early for Elvis. I think that was the first one on your head. It would stay on the Billboard album chart for over 9 years, a record not broken until Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Today in 1963, Bob Cousy played his last NBA game. The Bee Gees debuted on The Ed Sullivan Show, performing To Love Somebody. Not a lot happened today, David. I had to dig for stuff. 78, a couple of things. The biopic American Hot Wax was released about Alan Freed. Terrific if you've never seen it. And a little Irish band won the Limerick Civic Week Pop 78 talent competition. They had just changed their name from The Hype to U2. They took home $850 for that one.
Yeah, they did okay.
1979, the Talking Heads made their first TV appearance doing Take Me to the River on American Bandstand. 1988, the highest NCAA basketball game. Who else? Loyola Marymount, 119, Wyoming, 115. In 1992, after reuniting at their ex-manager's funeral, Spinal Tap issued their 17th album, Break Like the Wind. 2003, the very first Punk'd on MTV, Ashton Kutcher stages a prank involving the IRS that makes Justin Timberlake cry. Alex Chilton, who wrote The Letter from the Box Tops in 67, passed away today in 2010. That's why I played a little Replacements Alex Chilton after a little U2. And in the 60th ACC men's basketball tournament in 2013, the Miami Hurricanes, 87. The North Carolina Tar Heels, 77. And a year ago, Rory won the Players. Not only did Rory win the Players a year ago, David, Michigan State beat Michigan in the Big Ten Championship. Houston lost to Cincinnati in the AAC. And more importantly, the Sabres beat the Blues 4-3.
Boy, you just want to give scores every day, don't you?
It's all I'm trying. It's for you, David, for you. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Bobby Jones, born in 1902, Sammy Baugh, born in 1914, Nat King Cole, born in 1919, Paul Kattner, the founder of Jefferson Airplane, born in 1941, Cito Gaston, the former manager of the Blue Jays, born in 44, as was Patty Boyd. You know, you might not know that name, but she married George Harrison, Eric Clapton, and is the reason the song Layla was written. That's one hip chick right there. That is Today Was the Day When on this St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th. Chris Perkins is next.
Dr. Jim DiRespino from Center for Men's Health today in Frank's Garage.
I mean,
Doc,
come on. You marry Harrison, Clapton,
and he's like, where do you get
and Layla's written about
stuff?
Right. Layla.
Testosterone.
One of the, 10 best rock songs ever by most people's eyes?
Testosterone has to do with energy.
Most people are aware of the effects of testosterone has on strength and sex drive, but for 99% of our patients, energy is the main focus.
I became a patient because I didn't want to lose muscle mass.
And there is hard data that testosterone improves mood, concentration, and memory.
Dana White
Center for Men's Health isn't just treating testosterone deficiency, it's treating the quality of your life.
Let me make this simple. Your body is a machine, and that machine was designed to run with a perfect testosterone level. But if you want to see how good your machine can perform, go to C4MH.com and spend the $45. You'll get over $400 of lab tests and the 30-minute physician consultation.
It's fast, easy, and convenient with locations all up and down the West Florida coast. Go to C4MH.com.
There are times when we do this.
It is a crazy, crazy day.
Crazy.
There are other times when we do this.
I would never be doing something to make me look stupid. I mean, on purpose.
And then there are times when we do this.
Can we all agree now? Yes!
No.
It's not possible.
No.
When these times go down, you know you'll find it here on Fox Sports Radio.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is
DR Talk to Gentry. Yes.
Dan Martineau here, owner of DR Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is DR Martineau.
But I'm right now texting John.
AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 105.9 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
Gentry knows how to weasel it so that we backdoor it. So when they press the link, it's got to run one of the commercials he wants.
Gotcha.
It's really the only thing that...
That's really the only reason. My question is, do we have to do anything with Don?
Got your caller.
I got to follow up with Don today and find out why we haven't had that meeting with Bob. I'm guessing they're putting that all on hold with everything that's going on in their sports tier.
Huh. Why?
Oh, I don't...
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
Do you know you can clean your own car?
And
Yeah,
Moulton.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The things we're going to learn.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline.
Eisen was in studio
Goldberg-law.com.
yesterday, thought it was going to be the last.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
What a jam-packed Tuesday. If you've missed any of it, make sure you download our Connecticut Cast. Every hour gets its own podcast brought to you by Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Southwest Florida. Every guest on our show is joining us courtesy of the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline. Local people, local practice, local knowledge, goldberg-law.com. And that's where Chris Perkins joins us from. He covers the Dolphins for The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk. Chris, thanks so much for your time, particularly after the events of the last 24 hours. How are you?
I'm a little worn out. I'll tell you guys, yesterday I entered the day just thinking, all right, that they can start talking to guys at noon. So, yeah, I'll probably have a little bit of activity. I'll probably work like 3 or 4 hours, and I'll probably call it a day at like 7. Heck no. Heck no. Chris Greer and Brian Flores had something totally different in mind.
Well, Chris, I've got to be honest, though, just personally, after the last, however long you've been a little different than you were before, whenever you started, how fun was working yesterday?
Great. Oh, it was great. As you guys know, we just went through, as the media and as the fans also, a whole year of Tank for Tua claims and things like that. And then, of course, they win 5 of their last 9 games, and that goes out the window. But still, all that Chris Greer and Brian Flores preached since the end of the season was financial prudence. We're not going to go out there and spend big money on a bunch of guys. We're going to build this team the right way. And so I thought that meant that on day one, there would be just a few moves such as Kyle Van Noy and such as Shaq Lawson and such as Eric Flowers. The Byron Jones thing just totally blew me out of the water. Did not expect that at all.
Well, what is their thinking here? I mean, to me, for a split second, I thought, or are they going to move on from Howard because of that, of those charges and that arrest? But I thought that was dropped and went away, because otherwise, I mean, you're spending over $30 million just on your starting corners. I mean, it could give you the best pair of corners in the league, but that's a ton of money a corner.
It's a ton of money, but I think here's the way that they're looking at this is that you already had one elite cornerback in Xavier Howard, and that defense needs so many things. You need defensive tackles. You need pass rushers. You need linebackers. You still need a nickel cornerback. But the one single move that you can make to make that defense a lot better is by getting another cornerback to pair with Xavier Howard. So that's what they did. And beyond that, by the way, Xavier is awaiting the commissioner's decision on that domestic issue, whether he'll be suspended and how long the suspension is. we don't anticipate it's going to be a major 4-game suspension, maybe a couple of games. But aside from that, you get Byron Jones, and in case Xavier's knees get worse, at least you've still got an elite cornerback. Or if you do want to trade Xavier and get yourself something else in the draft so that maybe you have a better shot at getting Trevor Lawrence because you think you're going to miss out on Tua this year. So, but I think that the main thing is you've got 2 elite corners, and where you go from here, whether you keep Xavier or his knees go bad or you want to trade him, that's up to you. But either way, you're still going to have one elite cornerback.
5 years, $82.5 million. That's $16.5 per for Byron Jones, who had been with the Cowboys the last few years.
Chris, here's the big one. All of a sudden, overnight, what have you heard? Because all of a sudden, we've got a New England outlet reporting that Tom in Miami are talking. I mean, you can talk all you want about 4 defensive guys, tanking for Tua, Lawrence. I don't give a damn, Chris. But all of a sudden, Tom Brady's name's being associated with the Dolphins. That sounds nuts, right?
That does sound nuts to me because the Dolphins are so far away. Look, I mean, okay, you added Byron Jones and you added Shaq Lawson and you added Eric Flowers, but you're so far away. I just don't see why Tom Brady would want to come here and rebuild. Yeah, you do have 3 first-round picks and 5 picks overall in the first 2 rounds of the draft. But look, we know that in the draft, I don't know. I don't even know what the success rate is. 40%, 33%, maybe one out of 3 picks, quote unquote, hits. Free agency is maybe 50%. So these guys are, a couple of years away from, let's just say, going to the AFC Championship. I just don't see Tom Brady wanting to start from that far back. You never say never, but in this case, I'm very doubtful.
Why did they let Daniel Kilgore go? And the Eric Flowers signing, who, Chris, he played 3 good months in the last 6 years. And he did it with Bill Callahan, one of the legendary offensive line coaches, as the guy that kind of got him back on track with Washington. And Bill Callahan's not in Miami. I mean, this Eric Flowers signing, to me, looks risky, and you're basically having Flowers is going to, in a sense, replace Kilgore if Davis moves over now to center. I don't know. I thought they would have been better off sticking with Daniel Kilgore for less.
I like Kilgore, and the Kilgore move basically was because of age and injury history. 2 years ago, I think Kilgore, I'm trying to get my injuries right, I think he only played in 4 games due to a torn triceps. Last year he was okay, but health-wise, but the guy is 32 years old, and the Dolphins do not want that. But he's look, he is as much a Flores guy as you get, because he was a big Flores fan. Flores loved him. Kilgore was a team captain. The other players liked and respected Kilgore. He had really bought into what Flores was preaching and selling to the players, and really was one of the biggest rah-rah guys on the team. But he was 32 years old, and so he had to go, and that's the direction that this team is going. They want younger, economical players. How that applies to Eric Flowers, I'm not sure. In the grand scheme of things, paying a veteran $10 million a year, or an average of $10 million a year, is not that bad. I don't like it for I'm a guy who doesn't have a high regard for a guard. I think they're the most inconsequential players on the field. If you number them 1 to 22. Right guard is 21, or left guard is 21, and right guard is 22. I mean, so okay, you're paying Eric Flowers $10 million. If that doesn't work out, okay, you missed on that one. You can't miss on Shaq Lawson and Kyle Van Noy and Byron Jones. So whatever on Eric Flowers. How the offensive line looks right now, though, is that Flowers had his best season, as you said, last year. He was playing left guard. That's where Michael Dieter plays, last year's third-round pick. Maybe they shift Dieter to right guard and Jesse Davis stays at right tackle. You get a free agent center, you draft a left tackle, and off you go. That's kind of how I see the offensive line right now. But look, if you give me the choice between paying Kilgore $3.5 million or Eric, and he's there at center, or Eric Flowers $10 million to play left guard, I'm taking Kilgore every single time.
Eric Flowers was a former Miami Hurricane, so he is quote-unquote returning home. 3 years, $30 million for the former 9th overall pick of the draft.
Well, and you know, Chris, as you just mentioned, I want to go to where you talked about draft a left tackle. Well, if they're going to draft a left tackle, that means that to me, if they're going to get one that's going to plug and play guy, they probably can't bundle up a lot of picks and go up and get Tua at 3 or 2. How much does the left tackle matter in the draft standpoint of what you do with your first pick? Because there's a lot of tackles in this draft, but they really only talk about a few at the top being good. Will they be able to get their starting left tackle if they have to go up and trade with the Detroit to make sure they get Tua?
Well, there are, the left tackle is one of the power positions in this draft, and so there's guys that you could get into the upper part of the second round. So they could get a starting caliber left tackle. Will he be as good as Laramie Tunsil or Brandon Albert or some of the guys who have been there before? Probably not. But that's kind of the way that they're pursuing it. By the way, I don't really have my arms around how Chris Greer, I should say, because he's the one who's been there, not Brian Flores, how he views offensive tackles, because they did have Juwan James and Laramie Tunsil. They let Juwan go to Denver in free agency because they thought he was going to be too expensive. They trade Tunsil to Houston partly because they didn't want to pay Tunsil. So, I don't know. That eventually if these guys are any good, you're going to have to pay them. So I'm not sure how they view these tackles, but yeah, I think Tua is the priority, but I'm not exactly sure how they view moving up for him. He's not going to be there at 5. We can pretty much be sure of that, right? By the time the Dolphins pick. So as you say, you're talking about moving up to 2 or 3. You can still get a left tackle such as Josh Jones from Houston or the Andrew Walker from Georgia. At 18, perhaps as low as 26, and again maybe you take it into the second round. But if you have to use one of those first round picks to move up and get Tua, I don't know what happens to your left tackle pursuit, because right now I think in the first round, the positions that they want to get are quarterback, left tackle, and defensive end / pass rushing linebacker. And so obviously if you have to use a pick to get a quarterback, one of those other positions disappears out of the first round. I would think it would be left tackle because they really need a pass rusher badly.
Dolphins, remember, drafting 5th, 18th, 26th, and they do have that early second-round pick at 39. And so if you listen to Chris, obviously the Dolphins would love to use 39 to maybe package with 5 to move up and get a quarterback, and then they'd still have 18 and 26. They do have a boatload of draft picks next year and even into 2022. He's Chris Perkins, covers the Dolphins for The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk. The Dolphins still have money, still have a lot of money. Do you think think they're in the Clowney sweepstakes?
I don't. I thought that the pass rusher that they might have pursued would have been Yannick Ngakoue in Jacksonville. Of course, the Jaguars put the franchise tag on him. I don't know who the veteran pass rusher is that they're going to pursue now. The Kyle Van Noy thing made a whole lot of sense because of his background with Brian Flores in New England, and Van Noy was actually a guy who, when Flores took the job, he told Jerome Baker, the Dolphins linebacker, watch a lot of Kyle Van Noy film because that's how I want you to play in this defense. The Van Noy thing made a lot of sense, and really the Shaq Lawson thing. Shaq Lawson he had a career high 6.5 sacks last year, but his better element of his game is setting the edge, run stuffing, turning that run back inside toward the pursuit. So I think one element of this defense that you're seeing between Van Noy and Shaq Lawson, who actually each had 6.5 sacks last year, is they're trying to get some veteran depth in that defensive end position. You're bringing back Charles Harris and Taco Charlton, which really is nothing. No disrespect to those dudes, but that's nothing. You draft a defensive end in the first round, and now you've got a decent 3-man rotation depending on what else you do. So, it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch how they build this team and what the thought process is, because I'm not totally sure. I thought I knew before yesterday, but now I'm not totally sure on how they're going to build this team.
Well, Mark, we've talked about this depending on where, like the Colts deal yesterday, they felt they couldn't get a quality defensive tackle at 13, and so that's why they gave up number 13 to the Niners for Buckner. You're wondering if you're the Dolphins with 26. I mean, if Jacksonville would bite and take your late first-round pick, wouldn't you take Ngakoue off their hands and pay him?
Couldn't do it fast enough.
I mean, so that's...
I think, and I don't know about you, Chris, but this is the one thing I think that's baffled David and I, and we've been doing this together for over 10 years, almost 15, and they seem to be swimming to David's side of the pool now, is that finally teams are a little less reluctant to hold on to these picks. I mean, we go through all the history, Chris. We know what the odds of a first-round bust being, and yet teams just covet every single pick as opposed to the proven commodity. It seems that that's starting to change a little bit, and yesterday was a pretty good indicator.
It is. The flip side of that, obviously, is that when you go after the veteran free agents, it costs you a lot more money, and the injury risk is higher because of the mileage that's already on their body. Ideally, these teams do like to build through the draft, and that's where you get your younger, cheaper labor. But yeah, if you're trying to win, and look, you look at a team such as Arizona, which I was wondering why in the world are you slapping a transition tag on Kenyon Drake, and then they make the DeAndre Hopkins move. And look, the new ruling trend in the NFL is you better win while that quarterback is on his rookie contract. And I think that's what they're doing with Kyler Murray. I think if you look around the league, you see a lot of teams trying to do that. When that quarterback is on his rookie deal, you better be ready to move. I think that's the direction the Dolphins are going, as a matter of fact, because if that quarterback's any good, he's going to cost you $30 million or more, and now you've got to make a lot of tough decisions as you pursue that title. So as far as pursuing these free agents and not holding on to those picks as much, I think that thinking of we got a good quarterback, we better strike, that's a lot of the philosophy behind that.
You expect anything in the next 48 hours? I mean, technically, free agency doesn't begin, Chris, for another nearly 36 hours.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely expect. I expect the Dolphins to do something, especially on the offensive line. Where they do still need a center, they do still need a left tackle. I don't expect them to seriously address running back in free agency. You would expect that there's going to be some guys out there, whether you're talking about an older veteran such as Frank Gore or a guy coming off of a injury such as Lamar Miller, both of which are guys who have played for the Dolphins previously. I think they'll settle that in the lower rounds of the draft, maybe the second round. But I don't expect them to do that. But yeah, for the Dolphins, center and left tackle, I would expect a little bit more activity before this week is over.
Chris, thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it. All the best, not just professionally, but personally for you and your family in the coming weeks ahead.
All right, guys, you too. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.
Chris Perkins covers the Dolphins for The Athletic. Follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K, Chris Perkins, joining us here on Miller and Moulton. I have seen some mock drafts in which Dobbins is even on the board when the Dolphins are picking at 39 in the second round. There's considered like 4 running backs that are ahead of the rest of the class, and he's like third maybe, which he might be higher on my board. But if they don't trade that pick, they might be able to stumble upon one of the better running backs if they want to take one that high.
I don't mind second round taking one. I think there are far more needs. Personally, I wouldn't even think about a running back damn near until day 3 if I'm the Dolphins.
Fair enough.
Because I can draft as many linemen as is humanly possible and cut the ones that suck.
Listen, with as bad as they are up front,
both sides.
Yes, they had, I think, 12 sacks as a team. Now I know they, signed 2 defensive linemen yesterday. Essentially, Van Noy rushed the passer on passing downs, but yes, they could just keep signing them like chiclets.
And to Chris's point, yes, it's a good tackle draft. However, I've also read that as far as starting left tackles, what we think is really good, there are a couple. After that, there is a clear line where it drops off.
Depends on who you talk to. Like Gil Brandt thinks there's 5 left tackles in this draft. Some thinks there's 3. Obviously split the difference. There's 4. Now, do I think 4 will be taken before 18? The Dolphins' second first-round pick, and I don't.
Really?
I don't. They're going to be close. You start throwing in the quarterbacks, the wide receivers.
Can they get to 3 without using 18?
Yes.
They can use 5, 26, and 39?
Well, I don't think they have to give up 26 and 39.
You think to go 2 spaces that's just 5 and 26?
It could even be 5 and 39 and some other things. Remember, they got a boatload of picks next year. They do.
Problem is if you're trying to move with Detroit, and I mean, this is the only hitch in your giddy up here, David, is that, and you're the one that said this, and you know it to be true. Detroit has to win now. So trading for draft picks in the 21 draft, I can't imagine that the Lions brass would want to do.
I think you got to give up 26 and 70, or maybe 26 and 56 to move up 2 spots to get Tua. Got to give up your last of your 3 first-round picks and the second of your second-round picks. I think 26 and 56 moves. This is the thing to remember. The Jets traded 3 second-round picks to go from 6 to 3 just 2 years ago. All right, 3 second-round picks to move up 3 spots. The Dolphins are trying to move up 2. All right, and if the Lions go, we're not interested in 3 second-round picks. We need a first-rounder. All right, if you're the Dolphins, do you bite? Do you think the Chargers will give up their 2021 first-round pick? That's the other thing you have as an advantage. You're giving up picks for this year.
Oh, no.
When you guys have to win. Which works in their favor.
No, I'm with you. Look, I think this is a great discussion because this to me is the draft.
This is the big poker game going on.
This is the draft. The Miami-Detroit trade, everything else falls off of that because I don't believe that Washington is going to miss the chance on taking Chase Young. I just don't.
The Dolphins could argue the Jets gave up 3 second-round picks to move up 3 spots. We're only trying to move up 2. Why don't we give you 2 second-round picks? We'll give you 39 and 56. Would you do this if you're the Dolphins? Would you give up your 2 seconds and a third to move up 2 spots for Tua? So that in the first 2 days of the draft, you'd have your 3 first-round picks. That's all you'd have.
I wouldn't do the deal if I was Detroit. And I'm just telling you right now, I would not make that trade unless I'm getting another first-round pick.
So 2 seconds and a third
would not be enough for
spots. Me. Okay, fair enough.
I think I can get a first, a second, and a third.
All right. Not for me, you won't. But good
luck.
I
know, but you don't run the Dolphins.
No, I know.
That's why I know I can get it.
I couldn't have done worse, though, these last 15 years. You got to give me that.
No. I think you're playing hardball, and I'd have hung up on you and waited for you to call me back. You and I would be 2 great GMs.
We'd make 176 trades.
And curse one another on
We'd
air.
fail miserably. We'd have great press conferences. It would be a goat rodeo. It'd be wonderful.
But instead, we get 3 hours every morning, and we call this goat rodeo Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Still to come, we'll review our poll question, and the brackets are done, David.
What?
The brackets...
We have brackets?
...are done.
Oh, my goodness. We have a Tom Brady poll question. We've had 4 guests, and we have brackets. This might be the greatest show we've ever had.
Miller and Moulton. The GOAT Rodeo continues on Fox Sports Radio.
Our sound is a sound that makes you stop.
It's free, by the way. It's free, too. Didn't cost you a dime.
Not a damn thing.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts.
Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get
All right.
here
I need bracket names.
on Fox Sports
I was
Radio.
watching. I looked at a fast food bracket, and they
To the
for
Alamo
instance, they
Gun
had.
Range
I
of
forgot they had
Naples.
the
Are you
bag
a
of
first-time
fries
shooter
basket.
with
That
a lot
was
of
the
questions
one
and
where
need
Five
training?
Guys.
The
was
Alamo
favorite.
Gun Range of Naples
I think that
is here
there's
for
2
you
choices
with
for
our
the
clean,
Sopranos
comfortable,
bracket. One
and
is in lieu of your daughter.
relaxing atmosphere. And staff
Jersey, you got a
certified
problem
and
with
trained to
it,
provide
or
you
just
with
the
the
forget
answers
about
and
it
training
bracket,
you
which I
need
actually
to
think
get
makes
started.
more
You'll
sense.
feel right at home.
All right.
The Alamo
Walking
Gun
Dead, I'm
Range of
struggling
Naples.
with.
Naples'
Breaking
premier
Bad,
indoor
I
gun range
can't use
and
bitch in there because the
firearms
catchphrase,
superstore.
bend the knee, is the
AlamoRange.com.
Game
No
of
matter
Thrones
where you're
bracket.
voting,
And that
with
was the
Towboat
phrase,
US,
I believe.
You're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over
Bend the
300
knee.
ports nationwide.
Bend the
Your
knee.
local Towboat US companies
That's-
in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties.
So I need a Walking Dead and Breaking
365
Bad.
days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all
see if
year.
there's a Walking
Call
Dead
239-945-1664 for more information, or visit TowboatUSCapeCoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
We've got Melissa on the line.
Hey, Happy. My kids have baseball practice on Saturday mornings, but it's my only day to sleep in.
Well, break it to them early that they're not going to make the majors.
But I don't want to crush their dreams.
That's fair. Then why don't you swing by Hardee's on the way and get the new BFC Frisco breakfast
my
sandwich
name.
with a crispy wheel of cheese
that for
inside, so
Breaking
everyone's
Bad?
morning can be super.
Okay.
Call in
Okay.
next time at 1
I don't know, I'm not-
Hi Happy.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your Happy. The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
Eric, you're on with Happy.
Hey, Happy, I'm applying for a
I mean,
mortgage.
bitch
and
is the
I'm
one that I
debating a
always hear. That's what they
15-year
did
or
when
30-year
the
rate.
Jesse.
Forget about the
They ran it
property
like
ladder.
600
Get
times.
on
It
the
was pretty
burger
funny,
ladder.
but I know I can't do that.
The new BFC Angus Thick Burger from Hardee's has a crispy wheel of cheese on top.
You're right. As long as I have a good burger, I'll always have a place to call home.
Exactly. Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating
Exactly.
Hardee's restaurants.
I'm gonna go with I am Heisenberg, even though that's what they thought his name was.
We're on
That
the phone
works.
with our good friend Tim Meister,
Thank you.
owner of the
Perfect.
Four
That's
Meisters
what I
in
needed.
Naples. DJ, we hear you've added
All right,
several
so
new
we got
colors
that
of
one.
Cortec to your
Now I just
great
need
lineup
something
of
for The
products at
Walking
the store.
Dead.
Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new
How would
colors
one
of
spell
Cortec
forget
for
about-
our stock. All nice,
I gotta look it
light,
up.
beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Cortec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of
There it
Cortec
is.
that you have. You also have other
FUGA.
Cortec products as well.
We also carry the
FUH, oh, I've
Cortec
got
Stone product. Looks like tile,
Okay,
looks
there
like
you go.
stone, but it's
EDD,
Cortec,
is that
so
the
you
one
get
you're
the
looking at?
softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have
FUHGEDDABUOTTIT. Is that
Cortec wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest
I
Florida
see. I've got it with
humidity.
these.
If you
That the
haven't
Urban
been to the
Dictionary.
Four Meisters,
Urban
you
Dictionary
really owe it to
spells
yourself to
it.
visit
Forget
the
about
store.
it. That's
6281
Well,
Naples
that's- it's
Boulevard,
funny
right next to
because I got-
Costco.
here.
Or go online.
No, I know.
Floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
I got the Urban Dictionary.
This election season, there's only one candidate.
That's
with a spotless
hysterical.
Resume and impeccable service.
And I'm.
Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs is the obvious choice. Voted #2 in the nation by TripAdvisor, Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs does it right. Owner Todd Brooks and his staff are committed
got
to
it.
providing the best burger experience and superior customer service. With favorites
They've got it
like
with
the Donut
one
Burger,
T,
which is
two
a handcrafted
T's.
burger between
Right.
two
I
glazed
think it's
donuts
just
and topped with American cheese and bacon.
I'll go with two
Brooks
T's.
Gourmet Burgers and Dogs are truly building the dream one burger at a time. 4 locations: downtown Naples,
TAB,
Region 41,
OUTIT.
on the East Trail at
Right.
151 and 41,
All right.
and their newest location in Logan Landings.
I
on
need a
Road in
Walking
North
Dead.
Naples. See why Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs deserves your vote today. Online at brooksburgers.com. Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs, building the dream one burger at a time.
I'm Todd Brooks, and I approve this message.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Approaching 8:30 here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us on this St. Patrick's Day. It'll be the worst one ever. No doubt about it. Maybe it'll be some semblance of it on one of the beaches in Florida where, the youngins, they're partying like it's, well, like things are normal. All the best to them. Good luck. Good luck to the businesses.
You know, I've heard a lot of people say this, and I'm certainly not anti anything right now, chain restaurants or local restaurants. But trust me, the local guy is going to take it on the chin. If you have the opportunity to get to go from your favorite place, to buy a gift card from your favorite place, to go buy 10 meals from your favorite place and give them to somebody, this is going to be a grind for our local businesses. There's just no two ways about it. Anything you can do to help support the local community. And that's why I don't want to just, you know me, I'm not a chain guy, but a lot of the chain restaurants are franchisees. So they're not owned by the man, if you will. They're owned by your neighbor. So do what you can. And
love the gift card idea.
Go to, I look, Jack's Baycheck, they've been friends of mine for years. Go to Jack's, buy a gift card. Go to Brooks Burgers and buy a gift card. Go to Jimmy P's and buy a gift card. Wherever the case may be. I'm guessing they'll figure out a way to come up with gift cards these days. Get a to-go meal. Do what you can do. Try to be a little nicer. Try to spend a little money. Tip anybody that comes near you.
That's what I did the other day. I got a to-go, and I just walked around, and here's 10, here's 10, here's 10.
This show did not make my list. It got nixed at the 25th hour last night. It was The Marvelous Miss Maisel. And I happened to watch a recent one. Her manager is this very manly-looking woman, and she's walking into the Fontainebleau in Miami in the 50s. Remember the face, and she just keeps handing everybody, remember my face. She's like, that guy wasn't a customer. Wait, get over here, give me my $1 back. But we did put our binge TV brackets together. I did this on a lark last week when we were looking for brackets. I just said, best shows to watch if you're quarantined. And we weren't at the level we were at.
No, this was before America was essentially shut down.
And so now I don't want to use those words because that's not funny anymore. But it is the TV binge bracket. We're going to have to watch shows, man. You're not going to have sports for months.
Good thing I bought Netflix finally.
Yeah, but you gave up Showtime. That's a whole, you're sacrificing billions for a binge watch. I don't know if I completely agree with the philosophy, but that's for another day. So I had the 1 seeds. I announced them. We have the Forget About It bracket.
No. Announce them again.
The Forget About It bracket where the Sopranos are your 1 seed.
Forget about it.
We have the Fight the Dead bracket where Walking Dead is your number 1 seed. We have the I Am Heisenberg bracket where Breaking Bad is your number 1 seed. And we have the Bend the Knee bracket where Game of Thrones is your number 1 seed. Yesterday, a lot of shows ended up getting nixed. I sent this to a bunch of people. I had sent it to a couple of people who didn't really care the first time I sent it to them and told me they were too busy. So I sent it to other people. Yesterday, I sent this across the country, from Idaho to Michigan to the Northeast to all around the 239 to get opinions and throw shows out.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, Dexter was out, made it. Billions somehow I missed, made it. I got a lot of heat about having Sex and the City on the list at all. It got thrown out.
Come on. Now, see, once again, there's more than one demographic
I
to
got
binge
you.
watch.
I got you. And when several people of my collection of friends said, why do you have Sex and the City in there?
You know what? When you first were talking about this, I thought 32 was a lot. But the longer you went,
I could have gotten 64.
Yes.
Easily. Easily.
Because you threw out 20 shows, so that took you into the 50s right there. We could have done a 64-show bracket with this. Who knew?
So I don't know when this will get up. The proper people have it. We have a little better system this year because they did it. So, I'm sorry, Sex and the City did make it. It's a 1-8 matchup. It is the worst 8 seed. Sex and the City came in as the worst 8. It will take on the Sopranos in round 1.
Did you go Golden Girls at all?
No.
See, you could have put in this market, you could have replaced it with Golden Girls.
See, I have a theory. Like, I allowed some certain comedies on there, the Friends and the Seinfelds. To me, and this is part of my criterion, since I made up the damn bracket, I get to make up a few rules. If the show doesn't run sequential, to me, it's not a great binge-watching show. Like, 24 is a show I didn't watch on TV. 24 is a perfect binge-watch show.
It is.
You knock the whole season out in a day or two, and you're done with it because it's sequential. Whereas Seinfeld is not. It's great.
Right.
You
There's
know,
no rhyme or reason
no.
to that. Every episode was different.
So the 8s are Sex and the City, Parks and Rec, which came on late because I got a lot of people saying that show deserved it. I don't find it funny. The League, which mainly made it because it is about fantasy football, and how could you not have a show like that in a sports show's bracket? And Eastbound and Down, another sports show, which is solid. Those are the 8s. The 2s.
I think the 2s and 3s are sexy.
Well, the 2s, the highest, Walking Dead to me was the weakest one. So Seinfeld became, essentially the 5 seed in the tournament. The
Right, they were
best 2
San Diego
seed.
State?
Right, they're the best 2 seed.
This year they were San Diego State.
They will take on Dexter in the first round.
Okay.
The Wire, the next highest 2 seed, and
That's
a lot of people thought that should have been a 1 seed. I got a lot of heat from listeners on that. They're taking on Homeland, one of my favorite shows, in a 2-7 matchup. Mad Men, another 2 seed, taking on Brockmire, a show of advertisers when you could drink and sexually harass your secretary, of a show of a broadcaster who still thinks he can drink on air.
And sexually harass whoever's
Everybody.
around him, right?
Right. I thought those were a good matchup. And then Boardwalk Empire, Steve Buscemi's great HBO show, taking on Narcos. Drugs and gambling in the 30s, drugs and gambling in the early part of this century. The 3s. Seinfeld and Friends could take one another on. I put those two head-to-head for a next-round battle. Friends is your 3, taking on Shameless. And I think that is an upset waiting to happen.
Wait a minute. You have put Seinfeld and Friends potentially up against one another
Second round
in the
matchup.
second round?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. That's dirty. That's like having Kentucky and Louisville play. Look at that.
The Office, another show that, like, when I talked to my son said flat out, if you did this around me and my friends, they would hate you because The Office isn't a 1 seed. Like, there's no way that they would.
A 3 seed can win the national
exactly.
championship.
Taking on Succession, which I think might be the best show going right now.
Huh.
It is fantastic. True Detective, season 1, people argue one of the best seasons of a drama that's been on TV. Faltered a little bit after that. Taking on House of Cards, which, well, let's just face it, it's faltered.
Through no fault of its own.
And then Sons of Anarchy, another show that people love. Taking on
A lot of darkness in this bracket.
Yes.
A lot
of darkness in these shows.
Not a lot of happy, peppy, bursting with love here.
No.
You know
what I binge watch.
Where's Three's Company when you need it?
Knocking on your door. Sons of Anarchy taking on Ozark, which Ozark's a Netflix show. And I'm so excited for season 3 just about to come out.
Have more darkness. My goodness. Man.
So the 4-5 matchups. 24.
Was Chainsaw Massacre not available?
Not available, David. Making of a Murderer almost made the list.
Unreal.
24 taking on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Now, see, I like that contrast there.
I had to switch these because I have Billions in the Sopranos bracket taking on West Wing, which I had to throw a bone to our guest booker and executive producer, John Cassio. He wanted Saved by the Bell on the list. He wanted Golden Girls on the list. I don't even think West Wing deserves to be on here, but I thought he'd be so heartbroken if I didn't have any of his shows on that I put West Wing on there.
He still thinks President Bartlett is president.
I know he
does.
does.
He never was. He's kind of like the city of Philadelphia who thinks Rocky's real.
Right. So Billions taking on West Wing. I almost threw Billions against Ray Donovan because Ray Donovan's a 5 seed, and I couldn't do that to either of us, David. That was really, I had him next to me. I said, what am I doing? That's going to ruin my day.
That was like when we did the beauties bracket, and we literally, unbeknownst to us.
Oh, no, it wasn't unbeknownst. I knew it was totally on purpose.
You guys put the two best friends.
Yeah,
up
Teresa
against one
O'Shea
another.
and
No. It was Tara Molina.
Tara Molina and
the young lady who did for Chelsea Messenger.
Yeah, they were best friends, and Chelsea did not. She hates me to this day for that poll.
Yes,
just for that.
Chelsea Messenger.
Okay,
yes.
so I'm going to mess her name up too. Big deal.
She, yes.
Woman hates my guts anyhow.
Yeah, held it against me.
And nothing I've ever didn't. I never did anything but was nice to her. Invited her on the show.
Held it against me too. Trust me.
Get over it.
Tara did not.
Tara loved it.
Tara's
been friendly with us. She's now, I think, in Chicago.
Yeah, she is.
Went from
kicking
Cleveland to Chicago, killing it.
She won a Peabody.
So Better Call Saul taking on Ray Donovan. If Better Call Saul advances, could take on Breaking Bad in the second round, since that's the prequel to that. And finally, I love this one just for me. Entourage taking on Californication.
Entourage should win, but that's
I don't know. Any show that starts out with a guy in a church,
take it easy,
and a nun,
take it easy,
and what happens next may be the greatest 90 seconds of any show open ever.
Alrighty then. Miller and Malton.
Happy Lent, everybody.
So that's our brackets this year.
That's our bracket.
It's your binge watching bracket. How do people?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't have a clue. I told you, people, this went to management. I don't know when it's going to get up.
So,
I don't have a clue.
All
I was told in capital letters with a lot of yelling yesterday is get this to them now or it's not going up. So
Okay, all right.
So I got it to them. Well, I'm done now.
So in other words, very soon, it's going to be on FoxSportsFM.com, right?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I don't know of any other website where it could go. So
it's a great point.
So when you're either streaming a particular show on this station at FoxSportsFM.com, or you can go and vote in our binge watching brackets contest.
If your show's not on, I apologize.
We may come up with an NIT.
No.
We may have enough. We may have enough shows that we can come up with an NIT bracket.
I told the sales manager yesterday when I was talking to him, I said, look, you got to give me till 5. I got a 2 o'clock appointment. I promise you. And I ended up getting it to him at 5:15. And so I had to have this to him yesterday. It was important. I just said to him, I said, Mike, listen, man, I'm telling you right now, sell this sucker. I'll spit one of these out every 3 weeks. I go, David and I literally went back and forth about what we need to do for the show.
Spit one out
and how these are coming.
Weeks.
And I literally, did I not type to you brackets? People, we've tried trivia on this show. Trivia doesn't work. You know what works on this show? Brackets.
What are you, Bill O'Reilly, writing books? I'll spit one out every 3 weeks?
Yeah. I've already thought of 2 more.
Look for it soon on FoxSportsFM.com. The good, the bad, and the ugly, along with what's on tap, which has become a very short segment. Next on Miller and Malton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
It's a 10-year deal. These guys are calling out the NFL Players Association. How involved have you been? And what is the reason why you don't like this? Because when J.J. Watt says a big no for me, or Russell Wilson says that, tell me what you don't like. That's where I think the marquee guys are doing a little bit of a disservice here.
Dan Patrick.
And here they are.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Verity just did
This
one.
is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Teresa O'Shea with Wink News. This morning,
Listen to
5
the
more tests
first
came back
episode.
positive for
Listen to actually my
coronavirus.
first
That brings
podcast,
Florida's
if you will,
total
that
to
was not
160. One person has died in Orange County. Right now, Broward and Miami-Dade counties have the
not
most
like
positive cases.
listen
With
to
Florida's primary
Seth
still
or
on
something,
today, the
right?
president
Listen
is
to the first
urging
part of
voters
that
to avoid
spotlight.
groups of 10 or more. Polling locations across
Hernandez
Southwest
thing done by
Florida
the
are
Boston
taking
Globe
extra
people.
precautions to stay clean. Governor DeSantis is expected to make a decision on closing
just
or
the
limiting
listing, not the
capacity
Netflix
at bars
one.
and
This is just the
restaurants
audio
today.
one.
It could
I
be
think I
August
told you,
before the
Levitar's
virus
guy
is
said,
under
look, if you're
control.
gonna watch
More
the
restrictions
Netflix
could
one,
come at
do
any time
yourself the
today.
service
On the
and
stock
listen,
market, future
because
trading
there's
is up
holes
after
in
the
these.
worst day in 30 years. For updates on
Did you remember my walk
coronavirus,
last
trust
night? I
Wink
gotta be
News,
honest with you.
facts, not
Go some
fear.
headsets in and have someone tell you a story while you're walking around.
Boaters Landing is the largest Key West boat dealer. Visit Boaters Landing to check out the Key West quality, comfort, and unsinkable design. And take advantage of Yamaha's Reliable Choice sales event. Now you can get 5 years of warranty protection on all eligible Yamaha 4-stroke outboards at Boaters Landing. But you better hurry, it's ending soon. Boaters Landing, delivering the dream for over 30 years.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Almost every 2020 Jeep Wrangler at Friends and Family below invoice pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. That's right. New Jeep Wranglers below invoice, as low as $299 per month. Plus, it's Ram Truck Month. Crazy low prices on every truck and SUV. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams in stock. 2020 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab lease, $299 per month. New Challenger SXT lease, $225 per month. And exclusive of that offer, Caliana Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade in any condition, running or not. New Ram Crew Cabs, $299 per month. New Jeep Wranglers below invoice at Galliana Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. Wrangler Rubicon models excluded. 42-month basis, 10,000 miles per year, $29.99. Do it signing plus tax, dealer and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit with lender approval, minimum trade toward the purchase of select new vehicles. Offers don't combine.
Welcome to the Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Are you a first-time shooter with a lot of questions and need training? The Alamo Gun Range of Naples is here for you. With our clean, comfortable, and relaxing atmosphere and a staff that's certified and trained to provide you with the answers and training you need to get started, you'll feel right at home. The Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Naples' premier indoor gun range and firearms superstore. AlamoRange.com.
Receiving. Over.
Alexa, play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
LeBron has shown his greatness. Kevin Durant's a better player.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker.
Are we cheering for idiots? What's going on?
Sounds more like a dumb speaker, am I right?
You're an idiot. Nice job.
Get Southwest Florida sports talk delivered to your speaker.
This is easy.
Just say, Alexa,
hello.
Play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Finally, something worthwhile.
I didn't think it was going to be this easy.
We are Fox Sports.
Welcome back for another episode of ASMR with Alex. Today, we're exploring the delicious, refreshing sounds of Pepsi. Oh, spilled a little there, but don't worry, it's all under control. Now for the best part. Pepsi, that's what I like. Nailed it. My subscriber is gonna love this one.
Stop by your neighborhood Walmart and pick up your favorite Pepsi product. Pepsi, that's what I like.
There's an app to save on flights.
There's a Pepsi ad running on their
station?
station?
An app to rent a bike. And an app to help you save for driving safely. The Allstate app gives you real-time driving feedback with DriveWise, giving you the power to lower your insurance cost. In fact, safe drivers can save 40% or more. Connect and save with DriveWise. You're in good hands.
Download the Allstate
was
app
funny
today.
when I
Savings
talked
may
to
vary
Christy
by state and driving
yesterday.
behaviors,
She
subject
and I
to
think
terms,
you
conditions,
said
and
it too, but
availability.
they're
Use of Allstate
basically
Mobile with
throwing this
activation of
disease
DriveWise
at the
required. Allstate
millennials.
Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is Lois Tomey from Wink News.
Yeah.
Every day we feel a profound
Clearwater
sense
Beach
of
had thousands of
responsibility
people. Fort
to
Myers
keep you
Beach,
informed
Lonnie Kai
on
was
what's
packed
going on in your community.
Michigan
You can
State announced
define your
classes are
community
done.
as
What do
your
they do?
neighborhood,
They
your
can't
country,
get
your
to the
world.
bars fast
Now
enough.
more than ever, facts, not fears, are essential requirements so you can feel and be safe. I feel like we've been preparing for this assignment for years, earning your trust, newscast by newscast. We cherish that trust and intend to keep earning it.
Oh, love your new TV. And the sound, it's amazing. But where are the speakers? It's like they're invisible.
They are invisible. It's the coolest new technology, and they're the best speakers on the market.
It's crazy. I've heard of wireless speakers, but invisible speakers? That's epic.
Epic Audio and Video invites you to
Wow, I could
experience
really fool you. I
invisible
got an
speakers
idea
for
right now.
yourself. You won't believe your ears or your eyes. Visit Epic Audio Video
Have some fun
Showroom
with
on the
me on
corner
this
of US 41 and Pine Ridge in Naples, or online at epicaudiovideo.com.
From the best headlines
The best.
to the worst,
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio.
You know, David,
You're live.
someone told me that during these times, it's important for you and I to be positive. People need that right now.
Yes.
So the good, the bad, and the ugly, at least for today, is going to be renamed. The good, the better, and the best.
Look at you. My goodness.
We go to California for the good, where, disturbed by empty store shelves and reports of hoarding during the coronavirus, a man stood on a Southern California street corner and held up a homemade cardboard sign with a simple request: share your toilet paper. Johnny Blue told the San Diego Union Tribune on Saturday his response to his impromptu toilet paper exchange was immediate and positive. Drivers honked their horns in support, stopped to drop off rolls at TP. Just as quickly, he would hand out the rolls to those in need. He's a physical therapist who plans to be on the corner again to encourage people to be better amid the global pandemic. He was like, someone said, do you want me to pay you? I was like, no, somebody gave it to me. Take it. For the better, we go to Washington, D.C., where Jose Andres, known as the chef who fed Puerto Rico during the hurricanes, owns restaurants in Washington, D.C. He is closing down his restaurants and will be closed until further notice. He will transform his restaurants into community kitchens and offer lunches for those in need. It will begin today at noon around the D.C. area, so good for Jose Andres. And finally, the best. I can't believe it's me that's doing this. What the hell is going on?
Really?
We go to Ohio, where, well, one generous man just simply took care of others because he had a $29.75 tab at the Coach's Bar in Columbus, and he left a $2,500 gratuity, and he said, when the going gets tough, stay loyal.
Wow.
And that, David, is the good, the better, and the best on today, St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th. This is 2020.
What's on tap?
You get out of here and let me watch my program. And close the door when you go because I don't want those mosquitoes coming in here.
Do you think I caused any accidents?
A few.
Do you think anybody drove off the road on that one?
A few.
I hope people aren't offended.
And by the way, when you so enthusiastically say, this is 2020, trust me, there's no other year jumping in trying to claim it. I mean, in the 40s, we had World War II and polio, and like 1943 is going, no, you're good. No, you're good. I want to see it.
1942 saying, no, we're good.
We're good. Got it. We're good. World War II, polio. No. We want to see how this plays out. It's all you. It's all you.
You know what, David? Make a dadgum good point right there.
You want to claim 2020? Good for you. All right. Way to own it. All righty then. Yeah, there's nothing happening. Back to you, Jim, in the studio. But I love the fact that we play this every day.
I know.
Did you see yesterday where CBS announced that they're paying everybody? Everybody who was going to work as a part of March Madness. And CBS not only does Division I, they also do, I think, the NAIA championship, the Division II championship. I mean, anybody who was going to work for the next 3 weeks, a part of their basketball broadcasts, they're going to get paid as if they had worked. And so I sent an email last night in which I said, hey, while you're throwing money around, can I get that $1,000 for working that Alliance game 13 months ago?
That's so good.
All right. Waiting to hear if I get a response. But, just, hey, while you're throwing it around.
Hey, by the way, I do think we're going to see a lot of people do a lot of good things. Just this, my little good, bad, and ugly fun today. But Keith Urban yesterday, if you follow him on Instagram, he did a half-hour concert from his basement. He's supposed to be on tour. It was Keith Urban, Jeff Linsmeyer, who is a collaborator of his, who played keyboards and percussions on different songs, and Nicole Kidman just kind of danced around while her husband was playing. They did a half-hour set. David Grohl yesterday, and I have a man crush on him because he's the only guy trying to save rock and roll.
Right. You think he's left. He's it.
Well, there's a lot of really good bands, but the genre's pretty dead. But Dave Grohl issued a statement yesterday that basically said, at the end of it, he just said, wash your hands. He was like, hey, we're not touring. When we're told we can go, he said the semis are packed, the lighting, the stages, we're ready, and we're going to do it, and we're going to rock it. But until then, chill out and wash your hands. But I do think, like musicians, they're going to be bored. And they have the ability to, with technology now, I just think, your favorite artists, I think you're going to see a lot of, for lack of a better term, David, neat things that people will do out of boredom, out of necessity, and out of goodwill.
Well, clearly, a lot of stuff is going to get pushed very far down the road. Something we haven't talked about yet today. The Kentucky Derby announced yesterday that it's moving from the first Saturday in May to the first Saturday in September, which is the first weekend of the college football season. Week 0, if you will, is the weekend before.
Which means that we're going to have the Triple Crown in September and October.
Right. I wonder then, do they put the breeders right after? If so, you could have the four biggest things
right,
in
because
horse
the breeders is
racing
typically
within about
November,
a 10
right?
week period of time. I mean, I wonder if it would get horse racing to rethink it.
Well, boy, that's a tough run. I mean, they're not just going after sports. They're going to try to take on football.
Right.
And here's the thing. I guess, they got to move they'll just have to work around the Notre Dame schedule.
That's it, because it's NBC. And so
they don't have football to worry about. I mean, you could actually think, I know they'd never move them to Sunday. I wonder, and I don't think they'd want to take them leading right into football. I mean, I guess it's going to be Saturday. You're going to have a 4 o'clock, they're going to be going head to head with the SEC. They're going to get killed.
Maybe, except for the actual race. People will be monitoring and go, 5 minutes to post? Okay, and then go back to their football game, and then they'll watch the race.
Good news is it means I get to have a derby party this year.
That's true, just in September. So the Kentucky Derby announced that, and, when the president uttered July and August, it gets you thinking, if that's the case, will there be NBA? Will there be NHL? I mean, because
you made the comment, you don't think Major League Baseball starts much before the 4th of July?
I really don't. It wouldn't shock me if Major League Baseball didn't started with the All-Star game.
You and I talked about it during break, and I know it's not sports, but I mean, I have a daughter in kindergarten. I don't anticipate her going back to school till August. That's the way my head is. I hope I'm wrong, but that's the way I'm going forward.
Miller and Moulton. We had a jam-packed show today. We had Sean Salisbury. We had Pat Kerwin. We had Roy Cummings talking about the Bucks and Chris Perkins talking about the Dolphins. If you missed any and all of those interviews, that's what the Connecticut casts are for. Brought to you by Connecticut, 908-2300. Download our Connecticut cast. Every hour has its own podcast, or as we call it, the Connecticut cast.
Did get someone commenting, are you guys going to make the month? We're not going anywhere.
We're not missing a show.
We're here.
Yeah.
For the duration.
Yeah, we're doing
this is what we do.
Yeah. We talk sports. We entertain for a living. It beats working. Miller and Moulton. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening.
All right, see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good day.
Giro, thank you.
Very satisfied
You
Tim
too.
Tracey Motors customer.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 20 years, my family and I have purchased at least 17 vehicles from Tim Tracey Motors. Everything from Beamers
Brady just
to
tweeted
town
this
cars
out.
to Cadillacs to cars for our kids to the Toyota Avalon and Highlander that we currently own. We've always been impressed by
He's
the
done.
thoughtful, straightforward way that Tim and Matt do business. We especially appreciate that they're so picky about the quality of cars that they bring to the market. They have always stood behind their cars, and that's why we'll continue to be loyal Tim Tracey Motors customers.
Well, there
Bye.
you have it. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900.
Love you, Pat's Nation.
275-7900. At Tim Tracey Motors, they are confident when you meet them, you'll agree that you've never been to a dealership like theirs before. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900.
Ever purchase an online item and either it doesn't fit,
thing is
has
Pat's
missing
Nation.
parts or
Only
became
one rated.
damaged?
Only
Trying
one
to save a few bucks can end up costing more.
Hey, we're still here.
Owned and operated family business. Measures, manufactures, and installs our own brand.
For the record, Tom Brady we're still on here, but Tom Brady did just put out a tweet that basically says he's gone. For the record.
Tom Brady just doors installed. We have the experience and
Here,
the expertise.
I wanted to say thank you to all the incredible fans and Patriots supporters. Mass has been my home for 20 years. It has truly been the happiest 2 decades I could have envisioned in my life, and I have nothing but love and gratitude for my time in New England. The support has been overwhelming. I wish every player could experience it. My children were born and raised here, and you've always embraced this California kid as your own. I love your commitment and loyalty to your teams, and winning for our city means more than you will ever know. I can't thank you enough for the support of our team, the packed training camps and sold-out stadiums, and mostly victory parades. I have been so blessed to share them all with you. I tried to represent us always in the best and most honorable way. I fought hard with my teammates to help bring victory and triumph, even in the most dire situations. You opened your heart to me, and I opened my heart to you. And Pats Nation will always be a part of me. I don't know what my football future holds, but it is time for me to open a new stage in my life and career. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will always love you and what we have shared, a lifetime full of fun memories. TB12 is gone, kids.
Bucks or Chargers? Bucks or Chargers? They both have offered $30+ million reportedly. You know I've been saying it. 3 years, $100 million. 3 for $100 if you're the Bucks. Fully guaranteed. Here you go. Here you go. If you're the Chargers, you've got LA, which works in your favor.
Well, here's the thing. And we made this, John Cassio and I made the worst financial decision that I've made on a sports front. Because John and I had tickets picked out to the Heat when I was convinced LeBron was coming.
And
I had center court, first row of the second level. They were 6 seats, and they weren't that expensive compared to lower bowl. I didn't pull the trigger. They were gone the next day. Do you jump in right now and buy Tampa Bay season tickets on the hunch that you get TB12?
Yes.
Because if you do, you've tripled your money.
Yes.
And you get or put it this way, you could go to 2 games a year and sell the rest and make your money.
That's why you do it. They have a good schedule coming in this year. You can always unload the tickets, and then you don't have to renew.
Like I would right now I would be all for it.